Oh, just as I hit record, I think it might have caught it. Hello out there, and
I now have
welcome
3
back.
cans of iced tea in front of me.
Hello out there, and welcome back to TableTalk Discussion and Discourse. I, as always, am your host, Alejo, aka Grade on 95.
I am your second host with 3 cans of iced tea, plus a can of Mountain Dew. I will be the quenched boy this evening. Your second host, ItsSneakyAdolf.
And I figure I've ignored doing this for the last 3, so I'm the third host, the ghost host with the most. Boo! And we have a special guest, a special ghost.
We
Who
do.
could that be?
Oh,
Who's the
please,
special
please
ghost?
introduce
Oh,
yourself.
is that me?
Yeah, it's
It's you.
you. Of
All
course.
this
Oh, I'm
tea,
just a
but
fly on the wall, I thought.
Oh, well.
So I'm sitting here with some Taco Bell, and I've got a large Mountain Dew and a large Pepsi because they screwed up my wife's drink and gave me an extra drink.
Wait, they screwed up your wife's drink and they gave you the other one?
Yeah, so she drinks
Oh.
Diet Pepsi. And I was like, is this Diet? And they're like, no, our ticket says regular. And I said, well, I need a Diet. Do you want this back? And they're like, we can't take it back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, once it leaves their
Oh, nice.
hands, they
Yep.
Yeah, it was great. By the way, the guy didn't have a mask, which I don't know what you guys think on that.
Ooh,
But like,
not okay
everyone
with
there
it.
was wearing masks except for the guy who gave me my drinks.
Not okay with it. Definitely
weird.
Not cool with it. But yeah, this is Juce from Master the Game. We went on his show the other day. It'll be in the description. So yeah, I mean, welcome.
Thank you. I'm gonna try and talk in between bites. I'm like,
No, you're good.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
yeah. So these guys came onto my show last week. They were like, "Hey, do you want to come on my show? My show's much bigger than yours." And I said, "Yes, let's do this."
Yeah, obviously you need the exposure, dude.
I do.
But yeah,
You can have one subscriber, and that's okay. I'm just here for a good time.
There you go. Fantastic. But yeah, today we're basically going to be talking in both horror stories from RPGs as well as just some little experiences that we've had as like content creators and seeing the state of it a little bit as we usually critique content and content creators.
The absolute state of it.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about that. So it's still related. It's still tangentially related to what we do in a way. But it's gonna be more so. This is gonna be more kind of freeform and less video specific.
Yeah.
But yeah. So why don't we start with Juice? You had that lovely comment. And I would love to, if that's all right with you, I'd love to pull it up, and we can read it, and we can have our little time with it here.
Yes, we can pull that up. You're talking about the one about my channel being so Pathfinder centric, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So I had a wonderful comment the other day. Let me pull that up real quick.
Yeah, I've got it over here now too. Okay.
Oh, you have it as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it's by Anti Everything One. This fabulous individual. Dude, your entire channel is devoted to you being a Pathfinder stan. Obviously, you are going to love everything they put out because you are already invested to the tune of hundreds of dollars and dozens of hours. It isn't like you are going to all of a sudden acknowledge that the editing is a mess and the game is a plodding, miserable slog to actually run.
I love that. It's so,
guys, I don't know about you, but I have played Pathfinder 2E for 3s of hours.
Yeah, I know. Right?
Yeah, I was gonna say I've literally played for 3 hours.
It's like,
never mind the fact that like I think everyone in this call has been playing Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop for years.
yeah,
Right?
exactly. No, I love the idea of immediately trying to discredit you by saying that you're a Pathfinder stan when literally you all like, and I I'll even go to your channel right now and have a nice little look-see and see, I don't know, like 5 videos of Pathfinder content.
Guys, we can't make fun of them. They don't know how the scroll wheel works.
They probably were like, oh, let's search for Pathfinder. Oh, there's 2 videos by this guy. Oh, his whole channel's about Pathfinder.
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Exactly.
we got him.
Yeah, right? Like,
He's so
immediately.
biased.
It's
So the funny thing about this is I started my YouTube channel, and the stuff that I always talked about was Palladium books. I talked about Palladium books nonstop for about 3.5 years.
Ooh.
And Palladium books is the worst system I've ever played or anything.
Yeah.
But I love it. It's nostalgic for me.
Oh, sure.
I have and I agree with him that the book for Pathfinder 2nd Edition is an editing mess. It is not organized.
Yeah, we were talking to, and I think you. I think I watched the interview you had with No Nats Brogan, and
Yes.
and he was even saying it, and you were like, yeah, it's not great. Like, you even in the
Right.
live thing, you were just like, yeah, no, it's horribly edited. It's like incredibly hard to navigate. It's very bad,
Right.
and everyone knows that.
So
Yes. Like, the funny thing too is I do not have hundreds of dollars invested in it.
Yeah,
I've got like 4
So-
books. I bought them all on Amazon, and I probably have spent just under $100.
yeah.
So, nope. Sorry, man.
And I mean, just
What were you gonna say?
because.
Oh yeah, Aiden, I think you're cutting out. I think
Oh,
you're,
yeah.
you're dropping.
So
Oh,
let me.
Who's dropping? Not me.
Our things
isn't.
working?
No, it's Aiden.
Yeah, it's Aiden. Can you
Ooh, yeah,
respond?
it's me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, unfortunately, as everyone knows at this point who's been watching the show, Aiden's internet and my internet are not that great.
Oh, I think I'm back.
Oh, thank goodness.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Please go on.
So up till now, I've not heard of Palladium books,
Mm.
but I'm like just scrolling through Google Images, and their Chaos Earth Resurrection book art is pretty friggin' sick.
Mm.
The
there
setting
you
is
go.
awesome.
Oh,
Rift
hell yeah.
In general is amazing
Ooh.
from a setting standpoint.
Okay.
If you like Savage Worlds,
Mm.
they've actually taken their Rift setting and advanced the timeline just like a little bit,
Mhm.
and it takes place in there. It's called Savage Rifts. I think they're on their 2nd edition of it. So there was a first one which I backed like fully on Kickstarter, like $400 worth on
Holy shit.
Kickstarter. Which, by the way, there's hundreds of dollars
Ooh.
spent, and there's
Yeah.
tens of hours read. And by the way, I hate Savage Worlds, so there you go.
Well, hey.
But I spent a lot of money on it.
Well, I mean, you're informed about it, you know? Yeah, I'm looking at all this stuff. It's
Oh my
super
I'm
God.
sick looking.
I'm getting big Metal Wolf Chaos vibes.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm
Oh my
getting like a
goodness.
mix of 40K
Yo.
Space Marines and
Mhm.
Fallout.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
So the premise of the Palladium system is it's an active defense. So if someone attacks you, you can choose to dodge or parry it,
Mhm.
but then you have to roll. You give up an action to do your defense in most situations.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was made in the 80s.
Mhm.
They've done revisions where they tweaked little things here and there over the years.
Mhm.
It was a great system for its time, even though it's an organized mess. Some stuff mechanically just doesn't make sense
Mhm.
and doesn't work necessarily. There's no balance. So if you're going into it expecting balance, don't. You can play what's called a glitter boy. It's
Oh.
like a giant
What?
mech suit. Yeah, it's a glitter boy. So you see like the silver guy that looks like it's like a machine
Yeah.
with like rabbit ears almost. That's the glitter boy.
Oh, okay.
When you Google it. It has like what's called a boom gun that shoots like thousands of missils at a time.
Oh,
Okay.
So
Oh,
that's one
oh.
character you can play as a pilot
Okay.
of that mech suit.
That's awesome.
yo,
Or
I'm
You can
into it.
basically just be a vagabond. Like that's the power level. You can be a dragon. Like you can
Oh.
be a cyborg. They have things
Wow.
called juicers, which are like souped up on drugs. They like run 1,000,000 miles per hour. They have like a 5-year lifespan once they're hooked up on these drugs, but they're
Right.
super amazing while they're on it.
Yeah.
super cool.
It's
Yeah,
a cool setting.
It sounds,
I,
it sounds super
I am
cool.
hardcore into it.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. It sounds super cool, and I would super want to play that at some point. Seems like a
If you can find, I mean, I would run it for you guys, but here's the thing I'm going to tell you. We're going to throw out half the rules in the moment for cool shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, can I do this? I'm gonna say yes. Let's do it.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Go for it. Absolutely.
That's the only way to play.
I love the picture of the glitter boy holding the American flag
Yes.
with like
Mhm.
the RPG.
Yeah.
Like,
It's super good. It's really good.
Richard.
Yeah, Richard. Exactly, Richard. Jesus.
There's
Oh.
whole comic books and stuff about how broken the system is, though.
Hell
Oh
yeah,
my
that's
God.
awesome.
Like if you look up the Rift's cover, the second one that shows up, where it's like this floating guy with like these blind women around it,
Mhm.
they'll use that picture for like, what is it? There's like I can't think of the comic. Damn it! I won't even remember it during this podcast. Already. But if I find it, I'll definitely post it.
Sure. Yeah.
But Rift's memes are great.
Okay. Cool. Well. Yeah. So it's lovely. It's lovely seeing people who. You alright there? You finding more cool shit? Yeah.
This is like straight out of Doom Eternal.
Oh hell yeah!
Mhm.
No, it's all
Oh,
it's all
hell
super
yeah.
good looking. It's all
It's
great.
post-apocalyptic. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
world
yeah.
ended because like you have ley lines ripping the world apart,
Oh.
bringing aliens and cyborgs in.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
You have
it's
a
not
human
like
Nazi
giant.
settlement called the Coalition,
Mhm.
and they're like out of Chicago, and they're just
Oh,
basically
yeah.
it's Nazis. They're anti like anyone with superpowers.
Mm.
Yeah, I see that coalition overkill.
Yeah, they're cool
Neat.
as hell though.
Yeah.
I did. Two of my big passions in this world are big robot and
Mhm.
big monster, and
Mhm.
I love it when the big robot punch the big monster.
Mm.
Which is
always
why despite all of Pacific Rim's like numerous flaws,
Mhm.
I will always love it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's the feeling I'm getting from this.
Yes,
It's fair enough. That's
if
fair
you can
enough.
dream it, it's in there. New
Sick.
York is like ruins.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Called Mad Haven.
Oh.
You have dinosaurs like where West Virginia used to be.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. What?
Mexico is like all vampires and stuff.
That's awesome.
It's really cool.
That's
Parts
ridiculous.
of California have sunken into the
Oh.
ocean and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
That
Neat.
is super cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Nostalgia, man. I get
Oh,
too excited
sure.
about it.
Is that are there like when you keep saying that it's nostalgic? Is it an older game or are there like newer
Oh, yeah.
versions of it out?
80s.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
They did a
1980s, yeah.
revised edition in like late 90s, early 2000 where they just changed a couple rules,
Mhm.
but they didn't like. So the owner of the company,
Mhm.
first of all, lived like 20 minutes away from me. I could never find a book in stores. But like it was popular in the early 90s. Like a lot of people loved this
Right.
system.
Mm-hmm.
But like even he doesn't use his own rules. He has homebrewed his own rules for like 30 years, and they still don't like they never made it into print. Like still to this day,
Wow.
30 years later. So even when he revised it, it wasn't a full thing to make it how he plays the game himself.
So it's like
Oh.
how Jeremy Crawford has spent the past 4 years on Twitter tearing down everything he's written in 5e.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, that's true. Don't worry, they'll start doing it to actual 5e. They're already starting. It's fine.
Yeah.
Dude,
A lot
Jeremy
of people still
Crawford
know me for Palladium books, by the way. They're like, "Oh, you're the Palladium guy," and I'm like, "Yeah, kind of."
You're branching
used
out
to
from
be-
there, you know.
I used to be very not biased because I've always acknowledged the flaws,
Sure.
but I did stick up for it in the sense that it's a cool game if you find the right group. That's how I always used to say it.
Yeah.
I loved it, and I was like, so I apologize for the system all the time.
That's,
And finally,
that's
I got tired of like release dates that were 3 years late, which
Mhm.
like they had a book called Lemuria that was supposed to come out in the early 2000s. It came out in like, I don't know, 2013 after finally a crowdfunding, and even that didn't deliver on time.
Oh no.
And but they like do that. So
Mm.
they do weekly newsletters
Oh god.
where they tell you everything they're working on, and they'll be like, "Yeah, next month we're going to come out with this and this and this,"
Uh-huh.
and none of them are going to come out.
Mm.
And so
Hi.
then like you get closer, and they're like, "Oh, we had a setback," and then
yeah,
it'll be like,
it's the Anthem effect.
"Yeah,"
Mhm.
and it's really, and I've said this for years. If Kevin just stopped doing, he's the owner.
Mhm.
I said, if he just quit telling people when something's going to come out, and just you can say what you're working on. You can
Yeah.
say like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm writing it," or "I'm in the editing phase." Give people updates like that, but don't tell them a release date ever.
Yeah, never,
It's-
ever give a
it's-
hard release.
It's
date.
definitely one of those things that unless you're certain that you can get it to that date unless you're
Mhm.
certain about that. Then you do not give a release date.
Either that or
And I'm the same way.
Yeah.
give
Like,
updates.
I got a video coming up today. 3 weeks later, it's still not out.
Yeah, you give updates on your process, and then you only give a hard release date when it's actually ready to be released. It
Oh,
just
yeah,
set
fair.
to build
Yeah.
hype.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
true. That's true.
Do the CD Project Red thing and release date when it's ready.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's what things, more things I hope do in the future. They just like, because we have games now that are in early access all the time, and we have fucking movies that are scheduled to come out but then get delayed super hard every
Right.
year just because it's like and then we have books like that come out and it's just like, oh well, hey George, maybe you should sit down and write your book a little bit, and then he's like, yeah, well, maybe, and then he doesn't release it ever, and then a whole season of TV gets completely ruined.
Yeah. Not bitter though.
No, not bitter. It's fine.
There are good things. The good things are the game system as a whole is very low barrier of entry. Like,
Oh,
because
good.
it's all black and white for the most part.
Okay.
You're talking about $25 for a soft cover book.
Oh,
Sometimes
wow.
as cheap as $15.
Hmm.
If you go on Amazon, you can find stuff, or not Amazon, but on eBay,
Yeah.
people are selling their collections for like $1 a book in some instances,
Yikes,
just because
wow.
they don't play it
Jeez.
anymore.
Yeah.
You can always find the books. They made TMNT, and Other Strangeness, like 35 years ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome game. Like, it's the same system. So the whole every setting they have, it's the same system.
Mhm.
There's
Oh.
a couple different things about it, but it's basically the exact same system.
Yeah.
It works the same. The only difference is Rips has what's called MDC. The
Mhm.
other ones have SDC. Now, Rips has SDC, but it has another layer called MDC. And right now, I know that's a foreign language to you guys,
Yep.
but like, you have hit points. Sorry, go ahead.
STC isn't in terms of Warhammer, but I doubt that.
Well, it's not the same thing,
talking
I
about.
assume. Yeah.
So you have hit points.
Mhm.
You have SDC on top of that, and then you have MDC. So
Okay.
Oh, okay.
hit points obviously are your life, but instead of thinking of it like every time you're hit you take hit point damage, think of it as only when you take critical wounds, like you're bleeding out.
Mm.
Okay.
SDC is kind of like your pain threshold. It's called structural damage capacity. Everything in the world has an SDC. Like, your
Gotcha.
table has SDC.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Doesn't have hit points, but has SDC.
Right.
And then MDC is like, if you think of it another level, like armor, like a tank. Like, you're not going to be able to shoot a tank with a gun or cut it with a sword
Right.
because you're
Yeah.
never going to get through it. So
Right.
MDC
Yeah,
is
A
basically
tank doesn't bleed.
Yes.
Yeah. So SDC is 1,000 for one MDC.
Oh wow. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
okay,
you're
okay.
never. Most stuff doesn't damage MDC things, but Rifts is the only one with MDC. Like, so they have a fantasy line. They have a superhero line called Heroes Unlimited, TMNT, Ninjas and
Yeah,
Super Spies.
I have
And it's
been
all
seeing
STC.
a lot of TMNT.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's got the turtles in it.
Of course. I mean, I would assume.
That's all you need.
Yeah, but it's got Big Robot.
Krang is in it. He's got a
Nice.
big robot.
Of course. Yeah, I was gonna say Krang's usually,
But can you play as Krang?
Sure, his stats are in the book.
Oh,
All of them
yeah,
are in
there
the
you go.
book. Shredder, April O'Neil,
Nice.
Casey Jones,
Mhm.
the Terror
Yeah,
Bear.
Casey.
It's based on a comic book. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
cartoon, so it's a little more.
Oh,
dark.
so the black and white, actual original comic.
Yeah, the cover they all
Oh,
wear red.
dude.
They don't wear orange and blue. And
Yeah. Oh
all
man,
red.
Cool.
super cool.
Mhm.
Okay.
Splinter. It's all in there.
That's awesome.
Baxter, the guy who made the little I don't know what the hell those little robots are.
The
on two legs that fight
Mousers.
you. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I know my TMNT, dude.
Hell yeah, dude.
Oh,
I grew
okay.
up on that stuff. I love it.
Yeah. No, it's like I got super interested in them when I was a kid. I was just like, yeah, and I still now I look through and I'm still a man child, so I have some Bionicles that I have over here, and I looked through my Bionicle box the other day and I found some turtles, and I was like, oh, what are you doing in here? I thought I gave you all away, and then I was like, oh, these are still pretty cool. Just like, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So yeah. It's definitely going back to the whole being kind of a creator of this kind of content on YouTube and just in general being a creator of TTRPG related content, not necessarily, well, even so, making like modules or all that kind of stuff, you know, you're gonna encounter these people
I love them.
who it is definitely
Number one fans.
It is, yes.
Yep.
As if you get a hater, they are incredibly consistent to hate on you. They are always going to be there to listen to what you have to say,
Oh yeah.
and it's great. It's also tiring sometimes.
Sometimes.
I don't know. It gives me energy.
I mean, it depends on the person, obviously, and it depends on how entertaining the comment is, because that comment that you got is incredibly entertaining, because you can just go and do a Google search and literally get entirely, like, you can refute all of that immediately. Right. That kind of stuff, hilarious. Love it.
I hope they come back. I responded twice and they haven't said anything. I hope they come back.
Yeah.
Weakling.
The most
They're the fun
coward.
Coward. Respond.
Flee back to under the fridge like the cockroach you are.
My best troll that I had like 4 years ago was Varg Vikernes. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No.
He his YouTube channel was Thulian Perspective. He's had 3 channels banned from YouTube.
No.
For white supremacists and like cult stuff. Yeah. So he went to prison for burning a church and killing a bunch of Christians. Yeah. Back in '91.
Okay.
He founded the one-man music project Burzum. I'm on his Wikipedia right now. Became the most influential black metal acts.
Okay.
Which is cool. Like, there's a lot of stuff I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And like, he did stuff in a movie, but he was the biggest troll I ever had.
Okay.
So he used to comment on all of my D&D 5e stuff when 5e first came out.
Sure. Yeah.
And when he would comment, because it was linked up with Google Plus, his cult would see his comments.
Yeah.
And so then they'd come over to my video.
Yeah.
I would get sometimes 30 comments from all of them talking about how broken D&D is and how it's such a terrible, not accurate system and how real combat works. And like,
yeah,
they're not they're arguing with themselves. Like, none of these were points I made in the video. Like,
of course,
D5e is so representative of.
Yeah, I was gonna say point to the time code that I say.
What do you mean that there's no way to half-hilt a sword in D&D 5e?
Right. Yeah, it's like
It's like, no, guys, this was on how to name NPCs.
Yeah, right. Like, I would say, hey, you want to do that? You go play. Oh fuck. I was told about this by one of my friends, and he has the books still, and he showed them to me. There is a system out there that is literally mostly tables, and it is the most representative of everything. Like, it has percentages for every armor, every movement, like every fucking thing under the sun that you can think of. And it's a fantasy setting kind of book. I gotta find it now. It is super. It is like kind of infamous. So I'm assuming I can find it. I
heard of a really bad system that was like full of tables, like really bad. Like, it's not even worth playing it.
Oh yeah, he even told me if you wanna play that game, you have to like schedule yourself for. You'll probably have a session of 4 hours, and that entire thing was combat because you're looking at the table.
Like, I mean, in real life, combat was hours and days.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And
armor and crap.
It is definitely supposed to be like that.
You said it was fantasy?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Did it have a kind of generic-ish name?
Yeah.
Dungeon Crawl Classics?
No, not that.
Okay.
Not that. Fuck. I remember. I pulled out. Aiden, you remember the tables, the fumble tables that I was given by our first DM?
Yeah.
Yeah. He took a couple of those tables from this system and then added in one of his own. And I
assumed that those were all made by him.
I was under the impression as well, and when I took them out, he was like, "Oh yeah, no, those are from that." And then he showed me them out of the book, and I was like, "Oh, huh." I gotta find it now. It's incredibly like
The
detailed.
more I learn about his DMing style, the more I'm like, wow, that first campaign we had was not planned for at all.
Right? Yeah, it was a fluke, but it was really fun. Fuck me.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll find out about it at some point, and I'll tell you guys about it later. But yeah, it's one of those things where if you want something like that, then you go play that, right? Like D&D has strayed so far from that. It is the most well, now it's the most kind of, I wouldn't say generic. It's not right. I would say
I would say it's kitchen sink RPG.
yes. That I think
Not
that's
in
what,
a bad way.
No, not in a bad
No.
way.
It's just
It is definitely accessible to the nth degree. Because of the way that it handles all the combat and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't throw all those kinds of tables in your face unless you play a class that has a couple of tables, right? But
I like tables.
tables are great. Oh,
I salivate
absolutely.
over them.
Yeah,
But I don't want to use them in mid-combat mode.
It's one of those things where you definitely, unless it's part of your gimmick, like I have a wild magic sorcerer in my 5e campaign that I'm playing in on Wednesdays, and I rarely roll a 1, so I rarely get wild magic, but when I do, I go, yay, table!
Yeah, it's fun when you don't have to do it all the time.
Exactly.
It's special.
Yeah, if I had to do it every single roll, I'd be like, alright, table. Okay.
Do you do that as
table.
the DM, or do you let the player do the table?
I would say I like to have my DM do it for me as the player, because I'd rather have them determine my wild magic than myself, because I have no control over it, right? But I would be fine either way, right? Like,
I have a player in my Tyranny of Dragons game that we just started.
Yeah.
And I've told him that anytime he does a spell of his highest level slot, he needs to roll on that table himself.
Sure.
And just flavor it however he wants, but he has to do that on his own. Because
Sure.
I'm not going to fuss with all that crap. I ain't got time for it.
Sure.
What I'll typically do is, in order to really drive home how dangerous traveling out in the wilds can be, I will go and I'll look online for resources like just encounter tables in the wild.
Yep.
And I will pick and choose from them, take some stuff out, switch some stuff in, and I will come up with sort of like threat ranges that go from 1 to 100, 1 being really bad, 100 being really good.
Yep.
Including things like you seem to make really good time, the distance that you travel today is doubled, stuff like that. Like if they're traveling downhill or something. And I'll just have like 12 or 13 options basically on the table in front of me, and they'll say like, oh, I rolled a 25, and I look and there's this whole range of like 13 to 16, 16 to 24, 25 to 40.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
See,
no,
I prep all random encounters. Like, I don't do any of it at the table. So like, I won't have tables next to me. I just have my notes, and that's it.
Yeah, I have if so the way that I've done it before, and I need to kind of rethink how I do these kinds of things, mostly because I'd rather not do it the way that I've been doing it. But what I would do is I would do travel, and when travel happened, I'd just I'd have them roll a D100 every day, and I'd just go, okay, so depending on how close it is to 1% is depending on if I want there to be bad weather, if I just have all these things in my head, like an encounter, all that kind of stuff. I don't write it out or anything.
Gotta buy the bad weather dice.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean,
I have some. I'm spoiled.
Yeah,
I
have
I
insanity.
have trap dice too.
Yeah, I should get some
cool.
of those kinds of things. It would be fun. But yeah, I would just do that, and then I would just go. Even it also depended on me at the moment of like, at this point, do we want to fight, or do we want something just inconsequential that is just going to hinder them slightly, right? It helped out more in that case for me, because I was just like, I would do that, and then most of the time they hadn't had a fight, so I'd just be like, yeah, okay, let's do a fight. And then I'd go through and rapidly try to figure out what would encounter them at this point, and then go from there.
If I can't think of something like on the fly, I'm like, oh shoot, random encounter. That gives me like 10-15 minutes to start thinking of what's going to happen after all this.
Yeah, I'd then go to like something like Kobold Fight Club, the nice little website there, and then just roll it a couple of times and look and see, and then go and pick and choose and be like, oh, that sounds fun. Let's do that today.
I personally love using random encounters for an opportunity to help provide setup for like the world. So for instance, in my campaign, there's a war between two small city states going on in High Rock. And since they're traveling basically between those two city states, one of the random encounters that my players had was a group of refugees making their way north, and who all didn't really notice too much the caravan that was going through, because whatever, it's just some people in wagons. But when they encountered the spell sword, who looks like a knight in shining armor riding on a horse, they just looked at him with hate because they mistook him as a soldier for one of the countries. Stayed like 30 feet away from him and just sort of made a wide berth, but they were all staring at him as he walked through, and he's just like, okay, I mean, I could probably kill all these people, I'm like strong enough, but
yeah,
right, yeah, like I gotta start thinking of things more like that, because I know it's just one of those things where I have the framework for my world, basically, and like I have the things that are going on in it. I just need to think of more things that would represent things like that, because like I did that a little bit in the one that I was doing rather recently, that the party went to they were going from this neutral city of mages. They were going from there to the city that was recently joined to the kingdom on the edge of the frontier. And they got in the middle of that, they encountered a barbaric tribe. They encountered I think it was just the barbaric tribe that attacked them. And this introduced another one of the PC's characters as well, who was tracking them to kind of get them out of their territory. And it at least added to the world of like, why are there these barbarians on the road? Shouldn't it be patrolled a bit more? Like, this is kind of going towards a kingdom's city. And then I kind of gave them the things of like the war and how there's little manpower there, and the guards are being more so kept inside the city just to protect it, because there's also now there's also a group of cannibalistic halflings that want to destroy it because they want to take they want to take over the land that used to be theirs, but now it's not.
Nothing like a halfling with a saw blade running through the long grass, aiming for your Achilles tendon.
Exactly. So, like, I did it a little bit there, but it honestly, like, I don't know if it really brought it home, So it's one of those things that I gotta work on.
So
I have so many things I need to work on.
That's all. That's all really good. How you guys do random encounters with tables. But let me ask you this. How do you guys do when you have random encounters that kind of need to happen, but you don't have a table that you can use? What do you do that out of curiosity?
Just improv.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, but like, I mean, like, how do you do?
Oh, just like implementing it?
Yeah. Because I remember just during my campaign, when you guys were in the abyss and you guys stumbled upon that old demon sarcophagus thing that was trapped and stuff. Yep. I did not plan that at all. That didn't come from a table or anything. It was all improv, but I know that I was like, what the hell do I do this whole time?
Right.
It went fine.
Yeah.
At least I think
there was
fine.
a little hiccup here and there, but it was ultimately fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually, if I wing it, unfortunately, I leave out any kind of terrain effects, and so it's a little bit more of a stale combat. I've noticed, just because I'm too busy thinking, okay, I'm reskinning this monster in my head, boom, boom, boom.
Right.
I'm not thinking about all the things I should be thinking. I'm too tunnel visioned, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the downside to improvise in the moment for me.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever used weather effects in any of my combats.
I always forget it.
Yeah.
Because most of the time you're not really, unless your campaign is like set in a desert or your characters are spending a lot of time in the desert, there's not really any way to give them a sandstorm, or if they're in like the snowy mountains, you don't usually really think to add in a blizzard or hail or anything like that.
I do it in my prep. I do a lot of weather in prep. So I do have that die. What I do, so I do Rory story. Like I will roll like 30 dice when I sit down to prep. I do Rory story cubes. And then I like try to piece some of them together to see if it like could make sense together and how it like motivates my brain. I roll my weather die, treasure die, trap die, hit location die where it shows you like where you got hit. All the stuff. I just roll it at once, and then I'll roll the weather die multiple times. But I also have a yes or no die that I'll roll with it. So if it's a no, that means it's a normal day. I'm not going to worry about the weather.
Sure.
But if it's a yes, I'll factor in that weather die for that day, and I go out like 5 or 10 days every time I prep.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so then that way I don't forget it, and I try to work it into my description at the start of every day to remind myself and to tell the players. So sometimes even middle of the day I'll forget, but some of the players will remember. Oh, it was raining when we woke up this morning, and so they'll say something that might jog my memory at times. I actually had a tree thrown at one of my players in one of my stream games a couple months ago because of the weather die. It rolled up like a thunderstorm, and so I was like, "Oh, there's a tornado coming through."
Ooh.
So I made them all dodge a tree. I think they all made it except for one.
Right.
She lived though.
Yeah. There have been some times where what I like is throwing a storm at the players, and for them it's just like a shitty day of traveling, and then the next day they'll encounter a tree that has fallen across the road, or the road has been washed out, or the one time where I rolled for just as a random encounter, the result was pretty bad, so I threw a flash flood at my players. And they managed to essentially get up onto a hill as like the road behind them started to wash out. And then like the next day they were traveling along, and I threw quicksand at them. And
that's right.
Quicksand,
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, quicksand itself essentially being mud, since they were traveling through a area that was essentially a bit of lowlands. I'm like, it makes sense for there to be some water here, and they rolled like a 3 for a percent. So like, screw it. That was when we channel the whole fear you have as a kid of like, wow, I thought quicksand would be more relevant. Now it is, fool.
Well, like some of the things you can do too, like you can use weather to just as like a filler if it's a long travel.
Yeah, definitely.
But use it to implement things like exhaustion.
Sure, yeah.
Then you can go back to using weaker monsters. Say your party's like 6th or 7th level. My big pet peeve is hearing people say, "Oh, 5e, you're in God mode once you hit 5th level." I hate that, especially since I don't have a problem dropping players. And 2, a DM, if you're like moderately smart, you can do things to get rid of their resources, like impose exhaustion and crap like that. Did they sleep in their armor? Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, it was uncomfortable and it was sticky and humid last night, so you didn't sleep well. Take a level of exhaustion. Like
there's unfortunately we've seen a couple of instances of people that seem to not understand that they have the ability to balance encounters so that things are challenging still for people no matter what the level is. It's very strange to see that. So it makes me very happy that you say this. But also it's just one of those things where you look at the, and I assume, right, if you're the DM, you're at your table and you go, okay, I know what my players can take. I know they're completely able to go above and beyond every time I throw this like encounter that is at their CR, right? Or whatever circumstances that I've put them in, they are absolutely able to overcome it easily. So then I can challenge them more, and I can throw a little bit higher, and then honestly see how that goes, and see if, and then you get the unfortunate, maybe there's a PC death, and then it's like, oh no, okay, it's a little too much, maybe, and then, but it's all a big, like, experiment, unfortunately. But I assume you still have that base knowledge of, like, this is what I believe will be able to be overcome by them. I just can't account for dice. But if the dice go fine, then it'll be okay.
Well, see, I love... So one of the things I like to do, and I'll just sometimes do it just to spice the game up, if I feel like it's getting stale for me, or even if I feel like there's a lull in the game. So if they're in a dungeon, I might just randomly say, hey, you're in the front, right? And if they're like, yeah, I'll be like, all right, do me a favor, give me a wisdom save. Why am I making a wisdom save? I don't know, just make the wisdom save.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Depending on what they say, I might be like, okay, yeah, you, for some reason, you just feel scared. You're not exactly sure why, but there's this feeling of dread, and you just don't want to be in this dungeon anymore. And, maybe it's a magical trap. Maybe I'm just bullshitting and just saying, look, I want you to be scared. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But the point,
you're
like,
using
they don't
the
know.
darkest dungeon stress mechanic on them.
You're creating something that, one, is now going to cause them to have disadvantage maybe on other checks. It's going to make things harder. It's not anything deadly, but it might make, as a player, you feel a little more tense.
Yeah, I was going to say...
Just do stuff.
It's definitely... Your players. Yeah, it's definitely... You want to set that kind of atmosphere if you want to, like... It's easy to find a way to set that atmosphere, especially if you do something like that, and then you go, like, okay, roll the wisdom save. They go, what? Why? And you go, just roll the wisdom save. And then they do it, and then you go, okay.
Right. I rolled a 19. You're like, okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You feel normal.
And then they're just like, wait, what? And then you're just like, yeah.
Oh, I did that. Like my stream campaign, Forgotten Throne. This happened multiple times.
Yeah.
So at 3rd level, they went into a druid lich's lair. Okay. It's a druid that an undead druid basically that I took a lich property and slapped it onto the druid.
Sure. Okay.
They shouldn't have fought the thing. They went through the whole dungeon. I did a couple of. They fought the bastard and killed him.
Wow.
I don't know how, because he had like 140 hit points. They did.
Nice.
I'd have to go back and watch. I think they got creative and popped one of the gems out of his eyes or something.
Oh, sick!
With it. But in fact, one of them got pulled like 60 feet through a hole down into the part where he was at by like a tentacle thing. It was really kind of cool. But yeah, like one of the things I love to do is just screw with my players. And again, it makes them on edge. Nothing is like lethal. Like none of the stuff I did in that, other than the lich, was lethal. Like even being pulled by the tentacle, it caused like 1d6 damage.
Sure.
Because they fell 10 feet through the hole.
Yeah, exactly.
But it pulled them really far, and it screwed with their head.
Right. Yeah.
Like I feel like DMs need to do that more to, and I think they'll have more fun if they do that.
Well, I think
Yeah. A lot of DMs, myself included, I tend to fall in this trap too. Is they treat it as encounter. Okay, we have succeeded at the encounter.
Right.
We shall now continue to travel.
Yep.
And then they fill up on like their resources, or they have like one encounter per day. And it's like at one encounter per day, you can, as a player, very quickly learn, I will just blow through all of my most powerful stuff and I'll nuke this encounter, and then we'll go on. Whereas what you instead as a DM need to start doing to humbling these loot-hungry demigods is you throw an encounter at them, and then you just don't give them a chance to rest.
Yeah,
they don't
exactly.
they don't get a short rest. There's a persistent threat that is, maybe it's stalking them through the woods. Maybe they hear like crawling and scratching all over the place in the dungeon. Like it can come in numerous forms.
Absolutely.
But essentially signal to them, resting's probably not a good idea right now, and watch them grow paranoid.
Yeah, that's the thing about 5e specifically, that it's like you have to make sure to, if you want that kind of the problem that is there with 5e, where if you just take a short rest, you're basically fine. Like you're basically fine with everything except for spellcasters, mostly.
Certain ones, yeah.
Mostly.
Divine spellcasters.
Yeah, them and well, wizards also get their arcane recovery, but that's a little later on. But regardless, a short rest gets them all their HP back. You know, it gets a bunch of abilities back, because short rest is fucking amazing. But if you want it to be a challenge, you don't, like Aiden was saying, you don't allow that. You figure out a way for it to make sense for.
But you don't just say no.
No,
you have
of course
to
not. Oh, of course not. You never want to just say no. You can't have a short rest. You got to make sure there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
If you want the area to be challenging, as Aiden has put a threat that just continues to stalk. That's interesting.
Time sensitive.
I will be
anything time sensitive forces them to move.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they can't get their short rest if they have to do it at a vigorous pace.
Yes.
I had some players who were essentially.
I will be right back. Continue your discussion.
My players one time were essentially attacking and taking over a lab after one of the party members had gotten abducted by a bone claw. And they went up, they got to the jail, essentially. And in this lab, they were doing like all sorts of human experimentation and stuff. And
what game was this?
This is my game.
D&D.
Oh,
it is 5e. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure. It sounded like sci-fi. Really.
No. It was.
But it's just 5e, so whatever.
Yeah. It was essentially the big bad of the campaign is basically kind of like a lich. He never really died because he just slaps on body parts of like fresher bodies. So he's like this Franken monster of a necromancer, who just is like thousands of years old. And one of the things that he was doing is like, if you guys will work for me and do some favors for me, I will help teach you guys with the knowledge that I know in like illusion, alchemy, enchanting, stuff like that. And they had a laboratory set up that had essentially been dug into a cliff wall and was only accessible through a sewer pipe. And while the players were exploring, looking for this laboratory, Boneclaw, that was acting as a guard, grabbed the warlock and bamfed off with him. So party rushes in, and they're trying not to blow their cover until they can reach the point where they can find the warlock. And they have like a poker match with some people down in the common room, essentially, of the lab. Make their way up to the second floor where the subjects are kept, reunite with the warlock, and on the third floor there's an infirmary where like a guy who was making a potion had like it kind of blow up in his face, and he was temporarily paralyzed, and like he's in the infirmary. And by the time that the players had made it up there, their cover had been blown, and they really wanted a short rest. And what they wound up doing was essentially barricading themselves into the infirmary using beds and like furniture and stuff, and resting for about an hour or so that way they could, roll for their hit dice and stuff. And I'm like, okay, you guys can probably hold out here for an hour. That's probably fine, but you are aware that in your attacking of this lab and the people in it, there are currently some floors that are unaware of what's going on. And if you take that short rest and wait a full hour, not only is everyone in the lab now going to know what has happened, but you have now given them time to prep.
Yeah, definitely.
Yikes.
And that was why they essentially waited at a choke point to leave the lab, because there are like these teleporter panels that went between floors. and they just waited in a room that all the teleporter panels led to, and they all were waiting to use Magic Missile or Eldritch Blast as a reaction. And they threw like a ball on one of the teleporter pads, and it went and it disappeared, and nothing happened. So they're like, well, that means it's fine, right? And then I'm like behind my DM screen going, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, right.
And then the other player's like, no, what does that actually prove? That means that they maybe didn't attack a ball.
Yeah, exactly.
So they went, okay, we have to go through manually. And the druid decided to transform into, I think, like a horse or something.
Oh.
And he rounded a corner into that main foyer and got blasted by like 30 magic missiles.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how you make a statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, they were all going to tell them, like, they all had prepared for the next thing that I see walk through that door
Right.
is going to get blasted, because I have everyone else in the lab that's not dead is accounted for.
Yep.
Right.
So, apologies for stepping away for a moment. Yeah. So, let's move on to a couple of fun little things, because we've been talking about some ways to like make things work a bit better with D&D. You know, how a mindset, a DM's mindset, kind of whatever they're kind of thinking at that moment, or at least what their mindset is overall in RPGs, is kind of sometimes detrimental, I would say. Considering the fact that a lot of takes. But I wanted to bring to attention a specific little thing, since you had mentioned this comment and we had talked about some horror story stuff. We were privy to finding out about a nice little Twitter account that is also a creator.
I didn't want to call them out, but yeah, if we're going down this route.
Oh no, it makes sense to get to this logical conclusion.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, this has unfortunately sullied my interest in their actual podcast, but I feel it's important to at least acknowledge it, because it's definitely a strange bunch of takes that they have. So, Nonats, he's a good friend of ours, and he shared with us. Juce, were you aware of the little trend that was going around that is the such and such can get my D&D card revoked or Pathfinder card revoked? Like,
so
that little...
the only thing I saw was that Cody from Taken 20 did a video about revoking people's D&D cards.
Yes, I actually saw
all I know about
today.
He did that? I didn't know that that's where that started.
Today.
Yeah,
I actually really
today?
enjoyed the video.
Okay, it wasn't.
Some of it was just bullshit, but I'm friends with Cody. Cody took me to Gen Con 50.
Yeah.
He paid for my ticket. He paid for my hotel room. All I had to do was pick him up at the airport. Yeah. Back when he was smaller than me, he was a fan of my channel, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to go to Gen Con with me?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I can't really afford a ticket."
Right. Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, don't worry, I got you covered. Let's go."
Wow.
It's like, all right. Wow. So yeah, I went.
Very, very.
My name was his wife's name for the weekend, but that was Georgiana. I can't say her name.
Okay. Amazing.
Unfortunately, but it was great.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. Unfortunately, most of the content that we've looked at for Taking 20 has not been the most promising.
It's okay.
It's the most fortunate thing, because I love Cody and I love his channel, but it seems every video that we review, I'm always like,
Yeah, it becomes a little problematic every now and again, but thankfully we've started at least seeing something that's we watched his Pathfinder versus D&D 5e video with Nonats, and it was probably one of his better ones that we've seen.
Yeah,
it was a fair assessment. I think
it was a fair assessment. It had a couple of things in there that were a little shaky at best, but overall fine. But yes, so I will find Brogan's thing because I opened it up. Here it is. Okay.
He linked.
Here we go. Right.
Cody, I know you're not listening to this, but I love you, buddy.
If he ever does, he will hate us.
Yeah.
Okay, so if
Cody
you go
has thick skin.
I assume so. He's a creator on here, and he's probably gotten his fair share. A couple more words from 3 nobodies will be nothing to him.
Yeah, he'll just get you a subscriber count and how much money he makes off.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
You know, he wins.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm not saying not to subscribe to him because he's definitely a good creator. Like he makes some stuff that I actually do think is pretty cool. But
yeah, for sure.
Most of the stuff, not.
Ultimately, I would say my view of like creators like say Taking 20 or Dungeon Dudes and stuff like that is they're ultimately more constructive to the community than they are destructive.
Yes.
And as such, because they are promoting growth just by their own virtue of existing and continuing to push out content, they invariably have my support.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that we cannot criticize what
yes, exactly.
You're free to criticize things.
Exactly. So
I don't like all of Cody's videos. I'll be the first to tell him that.
I wouldn't imagine anyone. I don't think there's somebody who's 100% for every video.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of list videos personally. Like, I don't need to know what your favorite magic items are.
Oh.
I still click on half of them, and I need to stop because it's such a time suck.
Sure.
And I never learn anything, and it's just
having seen a lot of Cody's videos, I don't think Cody loves all his videos either.
Yeah, I would.
There are just some of them where I'm like, dude, I can feel how much of a chore this video was.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Probably.
Like, I understand that you need to make the content to make the money, but like some of the stuff, maybe. Anyway, so going back to what I was talking about, the tweet that I just posted in our chat here, it is a response from We Are NPCs at We Are NPCs. They do NPC the Gavel or the Gavel. I think that's their podcast. And apparently it's a courtroom drama, but fantasy.
Police Confidential, urban crime fighting, progressive, tabletop RP podcast, heavily edited by host Dr. J. Never.
Yep.
Get busted.
It seems to be that. Oh, there you go. So we were alerted to this is confessions that can get your Pathfinder card revoked was the original tweet. And it was like a thing that Nonat retweeted and said, the rulebook is not laid out well and can be a brick wall for people attempting to learn the system. Eyeballs emoji. And like everyone knows that. Fine. But then it was replied by NPC the Gavel, and they say, and I quote, as I have it on screen, "We have no intention of graduating to 2.0 or learning any new system and set of splat books ever. They'll just release another edition tomorrow and another one next week. We're done. PFSRD is good enough for anyone, and if there are errors, we'll easily adapt on the fly." And so we were shown this, and we're just like, oh, that's incredibly close-minded.
Yeah.
All right. And like we're trying to rationalize it, right? And I'm immediately like, okay, maybe it's like a thing of costs. Like maybe you don't want to buy a bunch of books. I can understand that, but there are ways around that. But I will not obviously go into too much. But there are ways around that.
It's not hard.
No, it's not.
Google.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Google's your friend.
Google is your friend. But like, obviously, there are things you can do there, so it's not really a term of cost thing, I would assume. It's just this fact that they super find that I don't know. I don't understand. It's like
we refuse to learn anything new.
Yeah,
but why there's going to be new things tomorrow?
Exactly.
So I'm confused. So Nonat just made a comment about the organization of the book, right?
Yes.
And then gets a response about how we're not buying new stuff.
Yes.
what the hell does that have to do with the first?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And he even responded to it. He was just like, personally, I enjoy learning new additions, especially when they completely revamp the system, like the new 3-action economy. I like to look at it as a new system, not a replacement for 1E. Just because the new one came out doesn't mean you can't still enjoy both with a smiley face emoji.
Right, yeah,
and that's
or the same people. Or
incredibly valid. They didn't respond.
I
have even been tempted to go back and play D&D 2nd Edition
sure.
with some people that I know used to like that, just for a change of pace, because it's completely different than 5e.
I was playing a 2nd Edition campaign with some friends around here who, because they liked 2nd Edition, they grew up with 2nd Edition. In fact, our DM knew 2nd Edition like the back of his hand. That was his edition, right? And I was just like, yeah, let's play it. That sounds fun to me. And he's like, yeah, and he was like, I'd like to learn 5e. It seems like a thing that could be neat. I don't know if I'd like most of the things in it, and in fact, he doesn't like a lot of the things in it. And we changed a bunch of them when he was joining our little 5e thing that we were doing, and we were just like, yeah, absolutely, let's go for it. But like, he isn't so close-minded to go, this replaces everything. I hate it because it's new, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a very strange take.
Yeah, it's those people who are like, oh, it's a money grab, or those evil corporate bastards made a new system to make money.
I look at them and I go, do you hate...
How dare they feed their families?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, do they hate movies? Do they hate books? Do they hate clothing? Like, I don't understand.
The answer is yes. If it's a movie that is a remake or it's based on a book, they're mad.
Right. Yep. Well, like, it depends on if the movie's shit or
Avengers
not.
Avengers is not the Marvel comic books.
Right. It's a whole different
universe.
And it's just...
The thing that...
No, you're good.
I get worked up on it, too.
Absolutely. You should be.
Welcome to Table Talk.
Yeah, right? Like, hello.
The thing that gets to me personally is I love to experience new editions, because I always go into an edition with the mentality of, what can I learn from this edition?
Yep.
And then lift from that and add into my own games.
Yep.
There's a thing that I really like from Pathfinder 2e, which is the whole
crit thing.
dying and wounded.
Oh, that, yeah.
From Pathfinder 2e?
Yeah, where if you're down...
So I'm not real familiar with that, because I haven't experienced it yet. I've read it, and I was a little confused. I figured I'll learn it and play at some point.
So NoNats actually described it to us, and it's if you are downed in combat, you are dying 1. You start rolling death saving throws, and you progress from like dying 1, 2, 3, and if you hit dying 4, you're dead.
Oh, it's 4. Okay.
Yep. If you are revived, you come back up at wounded 2. So it's whatever.
Is wounded 2 the same as dying 2? Like
no.
Okay. Whole different thing.
Wounded does not affect how you perform in combat, but if you get downed while you are wounded 2, you start off at dying 3.
Oh, it's the next one dying.
Yes.
So from dying 1, wounded 2, dying 3. And it's meant to discourage people from face tanking by, I run up to the boss, I get dropped. Someone does healing word, I'm up, I get dropped.
Healing word. I knew that's where this was going.
No, it definitely takes away that whole superhero quote unquote thing of like, this is very like game breakingly you don't experience any consequences.
It's almost like they watch those 5e videos about healing word being broken and like, we need one mechanic that just gets rid of that all.
Exactly.
And boom, here it is. All right, now we're better than D&D.
It honestly, we've talked about how we're more towards Pathfinder 2e at this point. At least I know myself and Aiden are. I don't know about you, Boo. Like
that's right.
I was just wondering by what we've kind of learned about Pathfinder 2e, if that's influenced you more towards that.
Because yes.
Okay. All right. Yes.
So I've got one foot in each pool. That's kind of how I feel right now.
Sure.
I'm probably in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, I'm perfectly happy to play either edition, but I would be more excited to play more 2E and get like more experience with that.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's kind of my boat right now.
Yeah.
The thing that
it'll probably be my go-to.
The thing that I really enjoy about like the thing that always sticks out the most to me about Pathfinder 2E, at least in terms of like very basic rules, is the crit system. I love the crit system.
Yes.
So cool.
Oh, and Pathfinder? Yeah.
Yes.
I do like that too.
It always sucks when you have like say 3.5, and it sucks when you have like, oh, I've got like a plus 13 to my roll, and I roll a 19. Well, shit, it's still just regular damage, you know, even though you technically rolled like a 30 plus.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
it doesn't feel like when you crit either, it's like an auto kill or anything, but it does. And especially when you get the specialization, which I still haven't experienced that either, but like when you're able to do that extra thing at like 5th level or whatever, whenever you unlock that, like that's cool.
Yeah. I think one of the only other things that I might, because I haven't looked at the Pathfinder books yet, because I don't own them. The only thing that I'm a little bit hesitant about with Pathfinder is just the races, because I know that some of the races are different than in 5e, like goblins in Pathfinder that are like all really monstery, and you can't really, you know, there's not really any nice ones typically.
No.
Oh, in 5e?
No, that's not true.
I thought in Pathfinder, like all the goblins were like really.
No, they're good now.
No, they're just a standard race. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
they're now accepted among society.
Yeah,
that's the whole idea of putting it in the core book.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
In fact, the setting as a whole has become more across the board. There's no inherently evil races.
Oh, okay. Then my only thing is just that I don't know many of the races in there, so I don't know if like all the
only
more.
6.
Yeah. So like I don't know if how many of the like kind of out there races.
They definitely.
Like,
I thought.
D&D.
Didn't they add in more with APG? I thought they were doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they added more with the Lost Omens character guide.
Right.
So the core book has humans, goblins, half orcs, half elves, but those are heritages of humans.
Yep.
You then have elves, dwarves, like just your standard ones, halfling and gnome. Just the standards. That's all that's in the core book. Okay. And then the Lost Omens guide gives you like plant creatures, orcs, or no, that was in the advanced player's guide. Hobgoblins.
Nice.
And then like, I don't know, like 1 or 2 other ones. Not very many. And then in the advanced player's guide, you get the new 6, where it's like the Tengu, which is basically the Tengu or whatever.
Yep.
The Catfolk, which I did a video on today. Go watch it. It's amazing.
There you go.
Kobolds.
Nice.
And then you get the Ratfolk. Ratfolk are kind of cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's all they have so far.
Skaven, yes.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And then they're all, the way they explain them in the flavor text is like they give you good reasons of why they're adventurers and why they might be trying to do good things.
Oh, sure, cool.
So getting back,
one last thing before we get back to NPC.
By the way, that's all on memory. I may have missed something or.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's fine. Fact checking can happen later on.
Yeah.
But last thing I want to say about Pathfinder is just the whole like it feeling more PC friendly, like in the sense of like the current climate that D&D seems to be experiencing with the very small minority of people that seem to think that everything's racist.
Right.
Like Pathfinder seems to have dodged that bullet entirely just because they went from the beginning and they were just like, let's just do it from there, and it doesn't feel like they're pandering. It feels
for
just
the players, but read the Lost Omens guide. So if you read Inner Sea guide and compare it to the Lost Omens, I guess things have changed pretty drastically in the PC department.
Oh no, really?
A lot of people mad. Yeah, read the reviews about the setting book on Amazon.
That sucks.
So in the Inner Sea guide, you had nations that were built on slavery, and it's not like slavery of like by race or whatever. It was I think Cheliax was very evil, and they had like slaves there. Like there was a lot of stuff like that, and they've gotten rid of it all. Most of without much explanation too, it sounds like. And again, I haven't read the book. I've just read the reviews. The rulers, like a lot of them were men before. Now I think 12 of 13 are female. of like the main places. So people were not outraged, but again, the anti-social justice warriors, have been out in full force.
The social injustice warriors.
Right, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, at least from what I know of the core rulebook, I don't know much about the rest of them, but that makes me worried. It at least didn't feel pandering in the start. It felt like
I still don't feel like they are. I think they just
hope
were like, hey, let's make an interesting change. And
that's the thing, though. When you do such a major change like that, you have to have an explanation, because unfortunately, otherwise you just get the speculation of, they're just doing it because of the PC culture now, right?
Yeah, you can't just retcon established history.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It doesn't make any sense to me, not knowing anything else at this moment. It doesn't make any sense to me for it to immediately change from being something that was built upon by slavery and then just isn't anymore. Like, I need to know more than that, and if there is enough there for me to go, okay, that's fine, then I'll be fine with it. But if there's not enough there just to say, like, in the past they just took care of it, and I'll just go,
I wonder how much they're leaving open for adventure pack. So the setting book is a lot thinner than the first edition setting.
Okay.
I think it's like 160 pages rather than like 270 or something.
Okay.
Again, I don't know for fact, but I know it's smaller.
Right.
And like, I liked the first setting book. I like what I've read in the Lost Omens character guide. But again, it feels like they're leaving a lot up to interpretation, and I'm sure, just like in first edition, they're going to fill it in with adventure pack.
Okay.
Because I mean, they had 12 years with the old setting, where they filled everything in as it went on, and they left some stuff open in there, so you could fill it in.
And I can understand that, and I agree to it to an extent, but I feel like when there are changes so major that it makes you like scratch your head, that kind of stuff should be explained, right?
Sure. I agree.
And again, I haven't read it, so I don't know if that's in there or not.
In fairness, to be fair, Games Workshop also has a huge problem with that, with establishing lore, both in terms of Age of Sigmar and in Warhammer 40k, where you can check the codexes of various editions, and you can see how there will be whole planets that just disappear.
Yep.
And not like the cool kind of disappear, like eaten by the Tyranids or anything. It's just like, what isn't this planet like? Just like 30 yards over from that, and it's like, what? And that planet never existed. And it's like,
my criticism still stands for that too, though, because like I was listening to Lorehammer the other literally today and yesterday because I got back into it, thankfully. But yeah, they were talking about how they hand wave things where Gilliman comes back and he's like, they have shit records in the Imperium, so some of this stuff I have no fucking idea what year it is. And I was just like, that's stupid. That's dumb.
And not only that too, but it's like with the huge dominating presence that a literal Primarch is.
Exactly.
It's like, why would you take this action when you have a Primarch sitting in the break room, like sipping a cup of coffee?
Exactly. So it's this kind of hand-waving kind of thing where it's just like, let's not worry about it, don't think about it right now. Then I go, no, you don't understand. I'm gonna think about it more because you just hand-waved that shit.
They're rewriting the Horus Heresy. Did you know that?
Oh! Why do you do this to me?
The most important part of the Imperium of Man, except for perhaps the Emperor uniting mankind.
Right, the actual...
That's pretty much hand-waved, because who cares about the Thunder Warriors?
Who cares? They died, whatever. He killed them,
Who cares? They died. He probably kills them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's getting rewritten. I'm wondering, are they going to change which Primarchs are now heretical?
I have...
Is Magnus the Red now a hero?
I mean, Magnus did nothing wrong, let's be honest.
He did, but Magnus was a good boy.
He was the best boy, but then he got punished for it.
We didn't deserve him.
We didn't deserve him. No one did. But so yeah, again, even though I love 40K and its lore and I'm learning more and more about it, like I still fucking I don't care. It's not cool to just do the big changes and just go fuck it. Time is different because we didn't keep track of it, and I'm like fuck you. That doesn't make any sense. But yes,
I don't want to play in my world then, because I lose track of everything.
Well, I mean, I would assume that
it's one thing for a DM to lose track of a campaign world. It's an entirely different thing for a team of writers to lose track of.
They have all the source material.
You have
there.
A book to go back to.
I would also assume that you take some notes, right? Like,
I'm not good at notes.
Okay, all right. Well, there you go. I guess.
I'm a terrible DM. I know I was giving great advice earlier, but I am awful.
Well, let me tell you then, I will be taking copious notes. I will be note taking.
So, speaking of questionable DMing, this was the part that I wanted to talk to. Circling back around to the gavel.
Please, I have many quotes from them to go to.
Can I just tell a story in 3 parts?
Absolutely, I would love you to.
Okay, so first is this one. D&D/TTRPG confession time. Confessions that can get your GM card revoked. Number 1, do not do the math. Our numbers do not add up. We do not care.
What?
Yep.
I don't understand what they're saying.
Yeah. We get it. You fudge dice rolls. Let it go.
Yeah, it's the next one right there. Like,
I mean, I used to fudge dice rolls. It was fine at the time. Now that I've got experience and things like that, I don't do it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And I tell people,
grew out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, like the only thing I will do is if I'm like, okay, an example. Last week I was running an encounter, and when I was picking my monsters, I overlooked something.
Sure.
Didn't even realize it until I used it in combat. It was I think a wyvern. Did not realize its tail did 76 poison damage. So on the fly, and by the way, this is like a 2nd or 3rd level party.
Yeah.
On the fly, I said it did 1d6 damage. That was it.
That's fine, honestly.
Yeah,
scaling it
that's
back.
Not fudging the roll.
That's not fudging the roll. That's changing the monster to fit the encounter. Yeah. That's different.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep. But that's the closest I will get to fudging anything.
No, sure. Yeah, that's totally fine.
And I only did it because I knew I made a mistake because I didn't read the whole stat block when I picked it.
Yeah, that's perfectly understandable.
Yeah, but no, and I don't fault anyone for doing it. Just don't ever let your players know you're doing it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that's the thing. I personally would go like I wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't say anyone should do it, but I'm just. Yeah, if you're doing it, don't let me know, and I will never know, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say my DMing style is more that of like I just personally have a pretty good eye for balance.
Me too, especially with 5e.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, this is exactly what they can take, and they should have like probably around 3/4 HP remaining of like the sum pool of their hit points, and like more often than not, I'm like within a 5% margin. And if my players like fuck up and they die, that's on them.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to put in the mental work to then calculate, okay, well, if I change this roll to this amount, then it will just hit and it will do half damage. No, fuck that.
We'll be at 2 hit points left.
Yeah, exactly. No, they're taking the damage.
Yeah. There are consequences. You will face them.
Yes. If you charge the dragon, that's on you.
Yeah.
Yup.
Anyway, your third part.
Yes, the third of my my triptych of stories is this. Confessions that can get your Pathfinder card revoked. Half of our players don't even have the character sheets open during the game.
And again,
so this is the gavel guy. He just made these things up.
He put this stuff for the answers. Like he's tweet. So So
I'm very confused by his responses. They're not entertaining. They're very off touch in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. This one
it's confession.
Right. This one, he's confessed that apparently half of their players don't even have their character sheets open during the game. Right.
And that their numbers don't add up, so ostensibly the DM is calling for a roll, and they roll a d20 and they add an arbitrary. And the players are just going like, I think I have a 13 to spot. Like, yeah, sure, 23.
And like to be entirely fair, like for this one at least, half our players don't even have their character sheets open during the game. If you know your character well enough, like if you know your information, then I feel like that's fine. But you have to know your character sheet, right? But
see,
this combined with the other things makes it so that I doubt that entirely.
That's why I say it's a story in 3 parts.
Exactly.
And they would not post this under a confession thread if they thought that this was kosher.
Exactly.
Which tells me it's not because they have the character sheet memorized.
Exactly.
It sounds like he's just making stuff up on the fly to try and.
Well, that's the thing.
I have funny, but it's not funny.
I have more examples, in fact. So for this, let's go to
Is it the one where he says that Dragon Age and The Witcher are pure trash?
No, but that's another one. Yeah, he does say that as well.
Dragon Age is a fantastic work of art, and anyone who says that it's trash,
it is. The Dragon Age Origins is the only one that I've played.
Yeah, exactly. He has another post that says it's time to admit Dragon Age Origins was a trash game.
Yes, and he says this, and I've played Dragon Age Origins, and let me tell you, I was talking to Brogan about this, and I was like, I don't necessarily enjoy the MMO feel that the game gives me after a while, because then it just feels too MMO-y in the gameplay.
But I just like the fate. Everything else is fantastic.
Yeah, everything, like the story itself is fucking good. Like the characters fucking good. Like the game itself, I would rate as an overall good game. And I don't understand, like, and then with The Witcher, I didn't have an appreciation for The Witcher until I started playing.
The loading times drove me nuts on that, so I didn't get very far. But I did enjoy it for the time I did play it, and I did like where the story was going.
So I was playing Witcher 3 on PC. I got it because it was like $15 on Steam, and everybody was hyped and raved about it, and I disliked.
I remember. Yeah, I remember I told you, I was like, I swear to God, if you don't buy it, I'll buy it for you.
I know, and so I bought it. So I hated playing The Witcher 1 for the 10 minutes that I played it, because it was bad.
You should.
Yeah, it was bad. It just did not feel good.
It's a bad game for psychopaths who enjoy painful gameplay.
It is a bad game because the gameplay is just fucking awful. I played through The Witcher 2. I did not like The Witcher 2. I don't know what it is. I could not get into the story. I couldn't get into the characters. I could not wait to be done with it. So I pushed through it. And then
you're not going to say it's a trash game. You're just going to say it's not your cup of tea.
No, I would never say that Witcher 2 is trash. I would say that I did not enjoy my time with it. What I will say for The Witcher 3 is that I love The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 is really good. It's a very good game. The story itself is pretty mediocre in some aspects, but it is overall solid enough. The characters are memorable. I like them. I enjoyed every interaction that I really had. All that kind of stuff. So like, how do you pure trash? Like,
as someone who has played all of the Witcher games, I've played like a half hour of Witcher 1, and I stopped because at that point in time I was gaming on a Mac, and boy, oh boy,
yikes,
can a Mac not run Witcher 1.
Yikes.
And when I did play of it, the combat was dancey. And like I get that in the lore of the game, when Geralt fights, it looks more like a ballet pirouetting around, and like I get it.
Jump out of the way.
Yep.
But when I am moving my way towards a monster, and I am holding my sword like with both hands over my head, and like the blade is going down along my back, and I'm just kind of standing there wiggling my hips. And I'm like, I don't like this.
Yep. No,
Witcher 2 is rough going for an hour and a half, and then once like the world kind of opens up and you're free to take on whatever contracts you want, it's a good go.
Yeah, it never felt like that to me. I don't know. Just didn't feel that way. Anyway,
but and then like Witcher 3 is just fucking godly, and there's a reason why it is used as a benchmark and a standard against which all other story games are placed. And as someone who's read the books, when I saw that the words "The Witcher" are pure trash, I was like, nope.
Now, to be entirely fair, this could be just a take on just it being not for them, but just to say it's pure trash is a little incendiary, right?
It has gone from a take an opinion. It is now a claim.
It is a claim, exactly. But the other thing that I would say is this, unfortunately, is not really. I mean, it gives you a little insight into them, I guess, a bit more, into how they look at storytelling, really. Which is it is related to RPG content. So when I look at that after all of these other things, and then I go in and I see, where is it? Here it is. So there's the confessions that could get your D&D card revoked. This was another one of those kinds of things. And this guy, Web DM Jim. Here, let me put this.
Jim Davis?
Yep, Jim Davis. He had a nice little thing. He said, I like encumbrance by weight, tracking XP, needing to train with NPCs for class abilities, one class for arcane casters, no automatic spells that level up, having to kill the next highest druid. I'm in ritual blood sport, non-unified resolution mechanics, permanent character death. He likes all that, and I'm like,
yeah, cool. He's old school.
Yeah, and that's fine. I honestly, I think that's cool.
Not for me. For him.
Yeah, exactly. I would not limit arcane casters to one class. I would say, even if you are sorcerer, you should be allowed to take warlock or wizard.
Yeah, absolutely.
But taking sorcerer is the only thing that's a little bit iffy, and that's because it's bloodline. But that can be hand waved away.
So one of the things in Taking 20's video about that D&D card revoking thing, someone suggested that Paladin should just be a subclass of fighter. And he was like, thinking about it, I was like, you know what? Yeah, it's better than an Eldritch Knight. It could be a version of an Eldritch Knight. But like, it is just a fighter with a little bit of divine spell.
It is true. It is because it would make more sense with the oath taking, right?
Yeah.
You take the oath at level 3, and then you're the Paladin now instead of a fighter.
Just a fighter. Yeah, I like it that way.
Yeah,
I feel like that's how it should have been. But I like sorcerers being separate from wizards.
Yeah.
Warlocks could probably fall under cleric.
Sure.
You know, because then it's like, you get your powers because
it is still
you're not divine to it, but you made a pact instead. It's just a difference of a word.
Exactly.
You know?
It's the way that in my world, the way that I have it set up is very much whether you are a cleric or a paladin really just comes down to how you choose to worship your god, whether that be through aiming to like heal the sick and spread their word, or to take up arms in their name. And
so you don't have atheists in your world that can be paladins or clerics?
I would say if you're going to be siphoning off energy from a divine source, then you should probably acknowledge that source.
So in my world, I have atheists that can be those things because it's just a belief that you're able to do these spells rather than there's actually a god that can.
So
that's how I do it.
I was actually going to say, I brought this up once before. There is a race in 3.5 that is, they live on the plane of chaos or something, and not limbo. It's not limbo. It's different. and they have clerics, but they don't have gods. What they believe in is the fundamentals of chaos, law, good, evil. Like those are the things that they believe in, and they draw their power from that.
Okay,
that's how they become clerics and such like that. So I'm more of the opinion of if you believe in that kind of stuff, you could become a champion of good, right? Or a cleric of evil, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
So, but regardless of that, he goes on to comment on this and say, "Make the game as annoying and as restrictive as possible." Got it. and I'm like, okay.
He's such an asshole.
Oh yeah. He has multiple replies to this take, by the way, because he gets replies to it. First reply that I have here is, players can't think outside the box if there isn't any box, which I don't agree with. But he says, you'd be shocked. Then, don't knock it till you try it is just the response he gets.
Yeah. What an absolute nothing statement.
It's amazing.
There's a reason why in our Devils and Dice campaign, one of the running gags is you might be surprised. And it's because you can apply it to anything without saying anything.
Yes, exactly. Was there... Okay, there's more... There's other takes that he has here, but this isn't the one. Is it this one? Yeah, here it is. So, yeah, he says, make the game as annoying and restrictive as possible. Got it. And then Jim goes on to say, and I call him Jim now because he's my friend, obviously. I don't find it unenjoyable or annoying. It is restrictive, though, but I don't find that as a problem as either a DM or a player. And then we have some more comments from other people saying training NPCs makes more sense than monks suddenly being able to speak and understand all languages by Alchemy Kaliek. Here, let me give you this thread just so that you are aware.
Yes, please.
So, and then continuing on, or you could roleplay through it, or you could roleplay throughout your adventures that your character is training every day still, like having to train with a mentor is limiting your ability to even roleplay out the class mechanic itself. It just becomes, how do you do this? Greg taught me, which I guess, like, I don't agree with that. You can flavor
We know Greg can't teach you. It's got to be Frank.
Exactly. It has to be Frank. It's only Frank. And then in response to that, on the other hand, maybe Greg is the only monk in this region who knows certain techniques, so I need to climb to his temple, prove my worthiness, then spend my downtime training. The restrictions can actually generate cool plot hooks, but it's not for everyone, and that's okay. From the next person, and then is replied by, okay, but you can just as easily do that without the limitation, and thus still be open to all sorts of things. Creating a mechanical rule for roleplay only elements feels arbitrary instead of a creative tool, which I'm like,
not really. It kind of forces players who normally wouldn't roleplay to roleplay.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the people who would roleplay are going to roleplay it anyway.
Exactly.
It's the people that don't normally roleplay that just want to go up and hit things that are going to now roleplay it because they have to if they want to get more powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're forcing your optimizers to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That sounds like a good idea to me.
It sounds like something
even if I hate that rule.
It sounds like something that you could implement. Like, if you don't like it, then you don't implement it, right? Mm-hmm. And then again, next is it's fun for me to have obstacles/limitations that I can overcome and then get rewarded with treasure, magic, abilities, etc. Training for class abilities can be such an obstacle to overcome, but if I get abilities for free, then I don't need to overcome those barriers, which is a fair point. That's good for you. I'm glad that you enjoy the overcoming thing. But then our good friend NPC the Gavel responds, pitting yourself against death is the training and why we get XP. All of this is obstacles and speed bumps for the biggest payoff in TTRPGs. Leveling up. It's the grand reward everyone's clawing toward, and you want to slap it out of their hands when they get it?
So, okay.
Oh my god.
I have a few problems with 5e.
Okay, yeah.
Namely, there are classes that I think are narratively problematic.
Sure.
In terms of how they get what skills when they level up.
Sure.
And I would say of these, Monk and Paladin are the worst, but I just kind of want to take a second to focus on how Jim Davis says that he likes the ideas of no automatic spells at level up.
Sure.
And that's because...
What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. No.
So instead of leveling up, when you learn new spell slots, you don't just pick from the spell list. You have to go out into the world and like find a scroll of Fireball.
Taught them.
Oh, okay.
Either that or go to a school and learn them from a teacher.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I am familiar with that. Second edition.
And I personally don't use it, just because I think it helps streamline the process. Mm-hmm. But I would never fault someone for using it because it's really freaking cool.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people are like, "Oh, well, you're a wizard. You're good at magic." And dude, magic is hard.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
There's a reason why people spend years of their lives studying to become a wizard, and we see.
I'm still learning.
We see at 20th level signature spells. When you reach 20th level, you gain mastery over 2 powerful spells and can cast them with little effort. It requires you to be a 20th level wizard before you can start to essentially adjust spells that already exist.
Yep.
And do you mean to tell me that your shit little 4th level wizard going to a 5th level wizard, you just spontaneously came up with the idea for Fireball and then decided to write that spell out yourself?
Now,
like
in that kind of setting, I would then go, well, you could say that they are always experimenting with magic. You have the words of power, quote unquote, right, where you put them in specific configurations and you test them and such, and that would be a whole thing of like narratively doing that as well as kind of showing that as a scene.
Doing the equivalent of magical coding.
Exactly.
But I always figured it's like you went to school for this thing, like just like an apprentice plumber learns how to do plumbing.
Sure.
You might not be great at it, but then when you're practicing it in the field, you then all of a sudden are like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember that thing, and that's why they do this after like your 30th customer,
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's even with like wizards, I've always viewed it as like, yeah, you have a textbook at home. You kind of know how to do all the spells, but you don't quite have it down. Yeah. And it's not all in your spell book yet. Yeah, so absolutely. Like that's how I've always figured it in my head.
Yeah, if you want to
it's a
put
stretch,
it that way. Yeah, if you want to describe that as that's how magic works in your world, like by all means, I have no problem with that.
No.
But for me, I see it as like 2 people coming up with and creating Python or C++,
Yep.
independently from each other, 2 continents away.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And it's laughable to think of that would justifiably happen.
Right, yeah. It's one of those things where it is astronomically unheard of to have them come to the same conclusion.
Yeah.
Right.
So when a spell like Fireball exists in the world, and you may even know that Fireball exists, but without ever actually seeing the scroll or someone else's spell book to like, hey, can I copy your notes? Yeah, sure. Just do it a little bit differently so that way the teacher doesn't notice.
Yeah, exactly. That meme.
Without doing the equivalent of that, it's going to be laughably hard to essentially create a spell from the ground up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's just another way to take it, right? Like,
that's how magic is for me.
Exactly, for you, yeah. And I agree with it, right? Like, it's just another way to do it. But I just love this whole take of just you don't accept the fact that somebody else could find a different way to make it a fun kind of experience for their players to go through the level up process and make it not be, ding, I leveled up.
Yeah.
like wow, right? Like
Yeah.
people like I don't know about you guys, but if I were to go into my D&D game and we were playing a pretty role play heavy story driven game, and then like in the middle of conversation the DM just goes ding.
Yeah, right.
And then you go, what the fuck was that? And you go, you leveled up. I go,
well, I know what I'm doing next session.
Yeah. But it's just one of those things. It complete, like, I understand, yes, there is experience, there is all this stuff, like, that is there for you to level up from, but it doesn't have to just be a numbers game.
Yeah.
Totally, right? Like, you can make it more of a kind of story. You can make an experience. You can make it go, yeah, so you're the monk, right? And you have gone through a bunch of different dungeons with your party. And every time you go out of the dungeon back into a town and you have a quiet moment to yourself, you kind of you meditate on the teachings of your monastery. And every day, you know, after that, you kind of continue to do that and experiment, I guess, in a way, and try to look out for more of your more instances of your monastery where it's kind of expanded, because I'm assuming at this point the monastery has expanded for you, because fuck it, why not? This is an example. So there's more subsects of your monastery out there, and you go to one and you go and learn from their master, and maybe their master knows a more intricate way to do things, and you start learning from them, and you use that experience then to meditate on and practice every day. Even though you haven't gone with them every day, you just continue to practice that one thing, and then once you hit that experience level, then you level up and you start mastering that technique. And now you're there. Now you have it, and it feels at least to me, it feels more satisfying, because that's a whole experience. That's a whole part of your life that you've just committed to.
Imagine if one day you're in a dungeon and as you're punching a zombie, your fist catches fire.
Yeah, and you just go, whoa!
And you're like,
I've had people roleplay that stuff. Like they roleplayed their new spell. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I.
Yeah,
like that's the best.
And absolutely, you can do it that way too. That's the thing. I like the idea of a narrative, but I also am totally okay with going in and going,
I cast Fireball.
I cast Fireball because I know Fireball now. And people go, you know Fireball now? And I go, I know Fireball now. And then I cast it.
Right.
And then it's just, but that's the thing. I can accept that is also cool. And you can do it. And this guy over here goes, fuck you for thinking in this narrative shit. Just level up and get your shit.
Yeah, right?
I'm like, what?
Well, it's the whole... So I have a shirt that's all about this. And I sent you guys the link.
Yes,
yeah. I see it.
I like it.
My shirt is called Play and Let Play. It's in the Master Game store. You can find it. Go to rpgjuice.com. Juice, Juce. Anyways,
it'll be
the whole premise of this Play and Let Play is from my friend Rollstats, who you guys are familiar with.
Yeah.
And the idea that you have the gall to tell somebody at another person's table that what they're doing is wrong, boring, and not fun.
Exactly.
Jim Davis of all people too.
Yeah, tell Jim Davis.
I understand it's an appeal to authority.
Right.
But I'm looking at Jim Davis's following.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the Gavel's following.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't matter as much, but just with somebody like any random schmuck out there who would have the same opinion, like if I were to have a friend named Tony and I go and tell him, hey, you should go post on this, and he posts the exact same thing, and then Gavel, the Gavel over here comes over and does the exact same thing, I'd go, what the fuck, dude? Like, how
yeah.
Where is your authority? Why should I listen to what you say?
I mean, granted,
Look, if I have 1 million people and I'm saying that your way of playing is boring, I'm still in the wrong. If you've got 3 people that think it's awesome and they just happen to be your players, fucking awesome.
So this is the thing.
Play your game.
This is the thing. Though I would stress that you saying that it's boring, I would then go, boring to you.
For you, yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
and then if you say yes, boring to me, then I'd go, okay.
Okay, we
Right.
have an agreement.
We have an
Shut up.
agreement. That's fine. I can understand that you find this boring. I do not, and neither do my friends, right? We would have to come to that understanding, because then if you then go, no, it's fucking boring entirely, then we have a problem.
You're not at our table. You don't get a say.
Now that we've said that, having to kill a druid at like 13th level or something is bullshit. No, I'm just kidding.
Right, yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Granted, we have made criticisms of ways that other people play, namely rolling a d20 for DC for an entire room.
Right, exactly, which is ridiculous to us.
Yes.
And
but you did it on your own platform. You didn't go at somebody else on their platform.
Oh,
and
sure.
tell them that.
Well, even
like,
so,
that's the difference.
So what I would say to that though is that even if we left a comment on their video saying that, right?
Sure.
We find that, like, if we were to structure it as, we find that this is a ridiculous concept and we would never have it at our table. In our own criticism though, we said if it works for you and your table, then by all means do it.
Yeah, that's pretty much something we tend to say every time we
tend to say it
we think is
every single time.
He did also say that he was running a game for like adults with busy lives.
Exactly.
And I'm like, you know what, that maybe that works for your table, but still like
Yeah, but that's all fluff that doesn't actually matter to the argument.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I play with adults with busy lives too. One of my players is an attorney. Like, he works 60 hours. He's a part owner in a firm. He's got 4 kids, a wife. Like, he's involved with the school board that his kids go to.
That's the other thing
I don't
that we were
know
talking
anybody
about.
more busy than him.
Yeah,
so
that's the other thing we were talking about is like, how busy are these people that they can devote this time to you and you can't use it efficiently?
Yeah,
and I'm gonna say I'm not busy, but I have, like, for some reason I have a hard time getting out of bed every day, and I feel like I'm busy as shit.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I'm the least busy person I'm a lazy sap.
But that's the thing. We would need more clarification on this, but the fact that he just asserts this and he kind of takes this authoritarian position on it to tell you that this is the way that it should be, it's like, then we have a problem. We have to then refute it, because it's like, no, you don't have to do it this way, and if it works for you, great, but you're building it up to such a degree that it's like, I don't think this is going to work for everyone, dude. Like, I don't.
Yeah, and you're doing it in such an asinine way that even let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say his is the superior method.
Sure.
Even if it's true, and it's not, you're saying it in such an asinine way, I wouldn't want to try it anyway.
Yeah, the way that it's conveyed is very, very bad as well, unfortunately.
And so now I've got 2 things actually.
Yeah, go for it.
In the same vein, he said in that comment that yada yada yada, leveling up is the penultimate reward in an RPG.
For some people.
Yeah,
some people like
I was gonna say some people really like seeing
some
number
people like
go
magic
up.
items.
I guess so, but man, when I'm playing an RPG, I like leveling up for 2 reasons. One, it means I am statistically less likely to have my character die, so that I can continue to experience their growth and their story. And 2, they're becoming closer to what I want that character to become.
Sure.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if I play a wizard,
based on mechanics?
Huh?
Do you have an end goal based on mechanics?
Not really, but like when
your character has goals, he wants to be a certain thing.
Well, it's just for example, we tried to make a campaign that was going to be set in the Underdark.
Okay.
And I made a character who was a little known race in the Underdark called a gloaming. Basically think like a smaller halfling with big furry wings. They can fly.
Ooh,
yeah, they're really neat.
Yeah.
They're from the 3.5 book Underdark. Anyway, their whole thing is that they all, their society goes out and explores, finds cool artifacts, and brings them back to a big home city that they live at, or just their hometown. And depending on what they bring back, they gain like status and fame and popularity, yada, yada, yada. My character wanted to find, I was going to make him an artificer and an alchemist, or not an artificer, I wanted to make him just an alchemist. And his whole deal was that he wanted to go out and find the Philosopher's Stone. The Philosopher's Stone is not really an item that you can feasibly find at level 3.
Right.
It's kind of an item that you will wind up finding once you are at higher levels.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because the Philosopher's Stone lets you instantly cast level 8 spells for basically no cost.
Yep.
So that couldn't really work at like level 3. So sometimes there are character motivations that I have that are somewhat tied to level, but not really because of mechanics.
Sure.
It's more because of balance.
Yep.
And so, like, if I'm playing a wizard and it's like, oh man, my wizard's going to be like super powerful. He's like, my wizard is going around the world. He's traveling the world, creating a book documenting monsters. And he's going to like sell it in big cities. He's going to make big copies, sell it to like adventurers guilds and mages guilds and all these kinds of people. And that's going to be his claim to fame. But he wouldn't really be able to safely do that again at like level 2. So growing in power is kind of a necessary requisite of him reaching his goal.
Yep.
And because of that, I see leveling up as a way to further my character's story, desires, and goals. Not so much as, yes, I leveled up and that's my reward for everything that I do. Yeah. I see it more as a stepping stone to what I want to become.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Secondly, the whole thing about hating on going and like after leveling up, you have to go train and stuff.
Yeah.
One, I think just inherently, I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Two, I really like
training
that as
montage.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one, yeah, training montage. Two, I really like it as essentially an intrinsic, or not intrinsic, a way to integrate very, very smoothly downtime. Because there's not usually any good way to, at least in a D&D session.
I suck at incorporating downtime.
Yeah, downtime is one of those things that's hard for a lot of people.
It's just kind of hard to do because you don't want your players to get bored and stuff.
Yep.
And oftentimes in the middle of sessions, you're off in a dungeon. You can't exactly have downtime in the middle of a dungeon.
Yep.
So you go to that dungeon, you fight everybody, you win, you level up. And then once you leave the dungeon, you're like, okay, we're going to have like a couple weeks worth of downtime.
Yeah.
Tell me what your characters do. You go off to your temple, you go off into your forest, and you go wherever it is you go, and you go train your class stuff.
Sure.
And so I really like that as a way to just instantly implement that.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to take that long, right? Yeah. Like what you just said. You just say, all right, I'm going to let you guys have 2 weeks of downtime. Tell me what you want to do, and then we'll go through the motions. You know, we might have a few rolls here and there, and then we'll come back to it. Very easy, very cool.
It's funny you say that. So for me, leveling up is not the ultimate goal, and for me, it's not even about my character's goals.
Sure.
I like the reason I like leveling is just so I can do more stuff as a player. That's it.
Oh, sure.
Otherwise,
it's another tool in my kit.
Yeah, I get bored if I don't level up. I've said it before. I get character ADD. If things don't advance, or if I don't get like an item that allows me to do something different, I get bored. And I know, I'm not saying I like Monty Hall campaigns. I don't know if I do or not because I've never played one.
Sure.
But I bet you I would enjoy it just because it would always be something fresh.
Sure.
You know?
Right.
But that's just how I am as a player.
Yeah. I mean, you know yourself the best, right? Like So like, absolutely. If that's what works for you, that's what works for you, and I accept and I understand that, right? Like, that's the difference here that we have.
Right. Yeah. And I know my way's not for everybody. But
absolutely.
Most of the campaigns I played in had slow level progression, and I told my DM like, hey, just so you know, I'm getting tired of the player. If we're not going to level, that's cool. Can I kill them off and make a new one?
Yeah, sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And every DM has told me no. But that's okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I know it would be like one of those, like, introducing a new player at this point would be kind of hard, and it's like, I don't know if I can do that in a way that isn't just, you're here now, you know? It's one of those things where I can understand people going, no. I know I did it a couple of times with when we were doing our Age of Magic Fur campaign. That was where
that had to happen a couple of times.
It had to happen a couple of times due to death, due to cowardice. Yep. Due to like it was just a natural kind of thing, and I honestly just kind of liked it because it was just like, some people are, it's not for everyone, this whole adventuring thing. right? Like they try it out and then they go, oh, or they die.
Yeah.
Or they go, I really like it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely I think it's a fine thing if you go through it with it. But there's also the part of me that's like, I have some plans for this that your character might like, and then but you don't want to play that character anymore. That sucks. Oh well.
Yeah. I try to find a way to evolve the character itself.
Sure.
But I can only do so much sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's
I
what's hard
understand.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This fucking guy.
There's another point too, especially when Jim Davis mentions encumbrance by weight and stuff like that. In the Devils and Dice campaign, Boris is somewhat of a hoarder.
Yes.
He has just a lot of stuff.
He does.
And I'm looking at my my character sheet gear right now, and it is just a page and like a composition notebook that is just like full of gear and backpack, gear and belt, gear equipped, magical items, where the magical items are equipped. And for me, I love doing that stuff, man. Like, oh well, I can meld the backpack into my shadow, so I don't have to worry about carry weight. So, I'll put the soap bars in that because I'm probably not going to need them, but I'll probably need the caltrops or the flask on my belt. And I love micromanaging where I'm keeping what.
I was gonna say inventory management is sometimes really fun. Yeah, it depends on what's going on, but
I don't want to be an accountant, but I can respect that.
Fair enough. Hey, there you go.
It is not something I've always done with players, but when you're playing
the
a
backpack sheets are
order,
cool. The people that print out the backpack sheets, that I'll admit is kind of cool. And sometimes as a DM, I'll be like, "Wait, where were you keeping that potion?" Like, so
totally.
And they know.
Yeah. That's great when they do know. Otherwise, they're like, "It was in my backpack." Great, how'd you get it out?
How did you get that out as one action? And they go,
Then you have to dig through like 5 pounds of bear dung to get through that.
That's right.
You sure you want to drink that?
Video game physics, buddy.
Yeah.
I opened up the pause menu.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Oh fuck, that's
you are playing it on an Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah, it's true. That's a whole
What do you mean
point.
I can't eat 30 tomatoes?
Yeah, you can't eat 20 wheels of cheese.
So one more thing on the leveling up kind of thread that he had, because he had one more response to somebody else.
Oh boy.
It was I'm not saying you don't have to train something, but the limitation isn't needed to still do that. Without it, it's up to the player and DM to interact with one another. You can work for it all the same, but limiting it to just training only limits the options, which again, we've already touched on. But he then responds to that with, yeah, and furthermore, we're shooting lightning bolts and fighting chimeras. Now you demand realism? I play TTRPGs to get away from this kind of drudgery.
Drudgery.
This sounds, honestly, it's sounding more and more like a wargamer. And I don't mean like the kind of people who play like Warhammer. I mean the ones that are like fight.
Right.
And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But you just got to realize that it's two different styles of play.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with either of them, except when you're an asshole about it.
Yes.
You cannot have a proper measure of like what is fantastical without also having a grounded reality.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like Goku's off firing Kamehameha waves that can blow up planets, but he still had to fucking carry milk up that mountain.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there you go. Like it's the appeal to it's fantasy, just fucking all rules go out the window. I hate that. I always hate that.
I don't mind it, but like it's ridiculous to expect every single rule to go out the window. You don't need everything to be spot on, but at the same time, you don't want to hand wave everything.
It's when it gets to the ridiculous extreme, right? Because I can understand it is fantasy. Yes, we're going to hand wave some things. I can suspend my disbelief for certain things, but when gravity is there, I'm like, so we're not we are gonna have gravity still, right? Because
right.
like
not if you have the fly spell.
I mean, yeah, that's fine.
It's
You're
the reason
bending
why
the will.
Tensor's floating disk exists.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? Like
or
there's
you fly on a wyvern.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's fine. There's still gravity there though, right? Like you still gotta go down every now and again.
Yeah, but the density of their bones. I mean,
Fuck their density. It's fine.
Did you know that most scientists don't understand why wyverns can fly, and that and that according to all known laws of physics, that they should be stuck to the ground?
like that's the whole thing of like, I'm fine with that. I understand we're in a fantasy. There's dragons. There's magic. I get that. That's fine.
I'm gonna have a dragon shapeshift into a bard and be like, "You like jazz?"
Okay. So yes, again, I'm fine with that. But when we have the I carry 16 different swords on my back, I'm like, well, okay.
No, you don't.
I'm cool with that.
I'm fine with it to a degree. There's also the fact of how do you move, dude?
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 15, they're all spectrum.
That's not
bad memories of that game.
No, I don't know. I mean, like, then see, that's the thing though. When you appeal to a video game, then I'm like, well, all right, like that's a whole different thing though. Like I appreciate the video gamey aspects of 5e to an extent, but I also think that a healthy dose of realism can enhance the game a little bit. In the sense of like survival mechanics being very, very easy to overcome in 5e. I feel that if you want to have an actual like tense kind of survival scenario, you don't let Goodberry really exist. You don't let the Outlander perk like do as good as it does.
Right.
Like some little bits here and there that we can put in, like the healing.
You mean to tell me that you adjust rules to help your game world?
I would adjust rules to help my game world. I would.
Well, I think we should let the NPCs know about that and ask their opinion.
Yeah, you're right. I should tell all the voices in my head, and
but wait, did you mean NPC the gavel or?
Yes.
Because if you did, I have a tweet for that.
Oh no! What is that?
Oh, what's the tweet?
You have it goddamn backwards. You change the math to fit the character concept, not the other way around.
What?
Oh my
No.
gosh.
What?
I don't agree with anything he's saying.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like that's the thing.
Whichever I guessed.
This is the thing.
It's very rare I'm actually treated to a tweet of them saying something, because most of what they do is retweet dice giveaways.
Exactly, right? Like that or some more well, that's fine.
I've done it like 3 times.
That's fine.
He also retweets politics stuff too.
He retweets politics stuff.
I saw that. I did go through his thing.
He also retweets very not safe for work stuff sometimes. That's a thing. But again, that's out of the that's
out of our purview.
No, this unfortunately does shape the way that I view their content, right? Because when I see all this kind of stuff, and again, I assume they're having fun, and I'm glad. I really am. I'm so happy they're having fun doing whatever they're doing, and I'm glad they have success in making their podcast. But it's not for me.
Plus, by all means, their campaign of D&D adventures that are essentially
courtroom dramas.
Yeah, courtroom dramas / the guards are like the bailiff. Like protecting the court.
It sounds cool.
That sounds super cool.
Yeah, sounds
cool. That sounds fun, and if they're having fun, I'm glad for them. But fucking
when you do these kinds of takes, it really especially when you use your brand's Twitter to then assert all of these things for everyone in your group. And I assume
it's the tone.
Yes, I assume that everyone in their group agrees, because no one else in their group, and they've retweeted stuff from their groups. Whoever, there's one of them that I know that has a Twitter that they retweet every now and again, and so I assume that either they just turn a blind eye or they agree, right? Like, because that's, and so it just kind of it just kind of skews me a little bit away from all this. And I have one more that we can look at here, because we were talking about the backpack and all of that. And so they replied to this. My D&D group is currently debating Wizards D&D's ruling on drinking a potion taking a full action. I've chugged an entire water bottle to prove that 4 ounces of fluid can be down in less than 3 seconds. D&D 5e.
So because he has no gag reflex, like nobody should.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, if you can prove it, sure. Like,
I have at the very least shown you, Alejo, that I can take a 16.9 fluid ounce bottle of water
and drink it
and have that in like a second.
Yes,
I can drink in about 20 seconds.
I can. There you go. That's the thing.
Uncap, bring to lips, crush it.
Wait, do I get a straw? If I have a straw, I can probably drink it.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. So this is...
It has to be a plastic straw, freshly harvested from the nose of a sea turtle.
That's fine, but I'm gonna double dip that straw and just both of them in there so it can go quick.
There you go. There you go. There he
is. Like
hey, you know what? Turtles have 2 nostrils. You can have 2 straws.
Okay. So now, before we get to what he replied with, this tweet individually, I'm like, yeah, if you bring this up to your DM and you want to have a discussion about it and see if you can prove it to them, and then you get it to pass their approval process, that's awesome. That's great. Do it, right? Like, I would personally go like, what's your constitution? Like, how like this is kind of a thing of just like,
I would totally make him eat a banana after drinking, shoving it. We'll see how it works out for him.
Right.
That sounds to me, Alejo, like you're advocating for clear and open and honest communication.
I don't know where you're getting that from, but
I'm not sure I'm about it. I'm not sure I'm here for it.
Well, you know what? I don't know where you got it, and so we can agree to disagree, I guess, or maybe agree to agree.
How dare you promote healthy communication?
I know.
At a TTRPG table?
I know. It's bad. It's bad. But
DM versus players, baby.
It's the only way to go. So
that's my bag.
So yes.
Come on, Juce, we're getting the fuck out of here.
Well, I mean, there you go. But legitimately, I would say, like, yeah, if your DM okays it, and you need to prove it to him with evidence, like, that's fine. In this scenario, if I was the DM going like, you need to prove it to me, then they show me, I would go, okay, let's look at your character's constitution. But usually I'm okay with it every now and again of like, this can be a bonus action, this can be an action, right? But our good friends, NPC the Gavel, say, let's see. Here we go. The way we see it, there are other risks involved in carrying around breakable glass bottles. Sure. Have your intelligent monsters and humanoids start taking cold shots on people's potion bags.
Good thing that they can, like, X-ray vision through the leather bags.
Yeah, like,
and
so
that they wouldn't just aim at
There's even a cold shot mechanic.
Not in 5e.
There isn't in 5e. There used to be.
And
right, he's talking 5e.
Yeah, I know.
And
we
just said
you got to play by the rules.
Yeah, I know. He's
and
definitely
already determined that they're not fond on taking stuff from other editions.
Exactly, right?
Yeah,
so I don't know.
It's too restrictive.
It's incredibly you can see.
Why is he trying to ruin his players' fun and be restrictive in their?
Yeah, you can see the contradictions, right?
What happened to our numbers don't add up? No, we don't care.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. This is the other thing. Like, I can see the argument being made of if they have a specific potion bag where they go and they pull out multiple potions in a combat, then yeah, somebody will probably notice that and go, I'd rather you not have that potion bag. And like the other thing
that's why in Pathfinder you can slap potions out of people's hands.
Yeah, exactly. That is a thing you can do. But
you go, no.
But
no pushing for you.
But what I would say,
not in
right?
my house, not in my lair.
That's when you start putting.
No.
That's when you start putting Wii Remote straps on your potions.
There you go.
Dude.
But again, what I would say is like, yeah, if you're doing that a lot, I guess so. But most of the time, I'm gonna say it's a little less fun for me, at least, to go and look at my players and say, oh, they know that you keep potions in there, so they're going to attack just that. Right, and we're gonna now take into account. By the way, apparently we're now taking into account the fact that there's some realism because there's a lot of glass in your fucking backpack, and if you get hit at all, shouldn't it shatter? I guess.
I don't know. Only if the scroll goes up in flames from the fire.
Exactly right. Like there has to be a line here.
So you want to make the game as encumbering as possible.
Right,
dude,
exactly.
Hold on.
Are you gonna go retweet?
I got a quick copy paste I gotta do.
Yes.
Copy and paste his own words again.
But yeah, absolutely, because that's the thing. When you see these people making these kinds of claims and arguments against other people's stuff, and then you go and find their own things work against them, it's ridiculous.
Oh,
it's
dude,
like
I've taken screenshots of people's comments and put them up on their own wall like 4 months after the fact. And I'm
as you should, because
you guys are great. Because I don't have the time to be. I wish I did, because I get into arguments with people sometimes. I'm like,
well, yeah.
Get off Facebook for the day.
This is one of those things where I barely argue with other people unless it's on this podcast.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things where if you like I see most people. They don't make these claims in my presence. I just don't. I never see these things, right? And then when I go into the specific like RPG stuff, for some reason I see a lot of these claims, and I'm just like, what are you doing?
I think people who make RPG content, it's funny. So I've been doing YouTube for 8 years.
Sure.
My wife in the past has been like. She's like, you're a big YouTuber. Like, people notice you when we're at places, and like,
sure.
I'm like, no, I'm not. But like, some people hear these things and they let it go to their head.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they think they're bigger and more knowledgeable than they actually are. I think.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
so they start talking like they're an expert on the. I'm not an expert on jack squat. Like,
no, absolutely. And neither are we, right? Like we're just fucking three assholes on the internet who look at videos and criticize them. That's all we do.
Right. I'm opinionated.
Yeah.
But I would never act like him and go.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
You're doing it wrong.
We
always do it.
It's always that thing. Like, and I expect it. I expect it to happen at some point that someone will go to our videos or go to our Twitter and tweet at us or comment and say, "You guys do exactly what we're saying. We are against."
I've been working on a video about the table talk, discourse, and discussions, guys. Don't worry, I got a lot of.
There you go. like
it'll be out next week.
Okay. Hey.
Awesome. Are we invited to the premiere?
Yeah, you can watch it and talk with me in the chat.
There you go.
I'm not doing a video on you guys. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Honestly, like I'm totally open to people criticizing what we do. I expect people to find flaws in what we do. That's totally fair. We're only human. We can only make mistakes every now and again. Sure, but like. I'm waiting for the day where they just go, you guys tell people what to do, and you don't think that anyone should have fun and all this kind of stuff. I'm waiting for it because I know it's coming.
I know it's coming. I will chime in on is we're talking about running certain types of play styles out of the hobby. I hate when people do that.
Right.
And so then I will talk like someone who knows.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like, don't run people out of our hobby. Like, I don't care if you don't like their play style. But other than that,
absolutely, it's one of those things.
It's like people who talk about power gamers and they're like,
that's the number one thing that I see most people complain about, and I'm like,
not immersive enough.
Yeah, exactly.
They're ruining the hobby.
Yeah, I'm over here
buying those books.
Yeah, no, they're playing the game the way that they like to play it. Like, just because it's something that you don't like
doesn't mean more books than the people who don't like them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just it's a strange dichotomy that I see of like, we want everyone to be a part of our games, but we hate those people specifically. Get out. Like, right. No, what? No, that I don't. Just because somebody likes to crunch the numbers, then you just account for them, I guess. Like, you can try to woo them over to the more roleplay side by giving that min-max character they have, give them a social situation that they're not prepared for.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they do have weaknesses. It is called
the murder hobo.
Yeah, it's called
random wisdom.
Yeah, there's also that, right? Like, and
boy, oh boy, it's great that you just murder hoboed that entire town. Too bad there's rolls dice. 19 revenants coming for you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, good job, dude.
Wait till their son comes through.
Yeah, there's a whole kingdom now that knows you, knows your face, and wants your head. Amazing. Yep. Like,
outstanding move.
It's the.
But now my campaign's off the rail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That city had a very important part in my story 6 sessions.
That's the thing as well, that it's like the railroad kind of stuff. It's just like, oh my god, just.
I don't mind that either.
Well, so there's
you can railroad me or sandbox. I'm okay with both.
Oh, sure. That's fine. I would prefer not to be railroaded, but I understand there are some situations where railroading is essential, right? And like that's fine as long as you can make it so that I don't feel like I'm just doing what you say. I have this example of a game that I played with. He was a first-time DM at the time. And so I assume he's gotten better at this point, and I hope to God he has. But we were playing a one-shot, and our characters went through... we were supposed to get to a town to help them with some issue. And so we went down this path. It was leading towards the town, and then our DM goes, "Oh, there are 2 paths in front of you now. One that is more kind of like trodden and paved and kind of goes. You can see it kind of goes towards the town, and the other one goes kind of into the woods." And
cool.
And we were like, "Yeah, okay, let's go in the woods." And he was like, "Okay." And so he
thought you wanted to go to town.
So he gets us to go through the woods. And then he's like, okay, a bunch of these, what are they called? Not Spriggans. Oh my god, that's my brain going there. The
Blights.
Blights, yeah, twig blights. Yeah. A bunch of twig blights attack you, because, like, you see these bushes and they're moving. And
they only do, like, 1d4.
Yeah, exactly. It was just a very basic kind of thing. And so we went through it and we killed them, and we were like, okay, yeah, let's keep going through the forest path. And then he's like, yeah, okay, so you keep going down the forest path. And
more twig blights.
Yes. No, he doesn't do that. He goes, you're going down through the forest path, and you notice that it goes back onto the main path, and you continue going on towards the town. And I'm like, okay, that's fortunate, I guess. And so we keep going to the town, and when we get to the town, he's like, yeah, so you're looking around the town, and you're looking, and there's a tavern, there's a couple of different houses, and you know what, guys, you guys should really go into the tavern.
You go into the tavern.
I mean, I've played with DMs who are like that, and it's like, all right, fine.
Well, so yeah, we continue doing that, and then we go into the tavern, we get our thing, and then they tell us, we got to go to this cave because there's a problem there, and we kill a bunch of bullywugs.
Straight to the cave through the forest.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we take a different path. And so we go back up the path to the cave, and there's some bullywugs, and we kill them, and then we get done with the bullywug fight, and then he's like, all right, so everybody roll me a d4. And we're like, okay. So we do so, and he's like, yeah, you character that I can't remember, you check the north end of the cave, and you find a chest. And we're like, what? Wait, but we just did a we just did the fight. Okay, I guess. We get the chest and we get stuff, and then we go back to the town and get our gold and stuff. And I'm like, all right. And then the adventure's over, basically. And we just, I don't know, gold. I think it was just gold. Honestly, yeah, it wasn't great. And
this is why you allow your players to scout out the room, and then you describe everything that's in the fucking room. It's,
that's the thing. That's the thing, right? Like I don't remember if we had already looked through the room of the cave, but we were like, I was gearing up to. I remember that much. I was gearing up to roll my own investigation of the cave to just see if I could find anything. But no, we didn't get the chance to like have the room described to us. We didn't get the chance to any. It was just a cave. We knew it was a cave, and there were some bullywugs that were dead. And then he's like, "All right, now you need to roll a d4." And then the guy found the treasure chest, and I'm like,
to be fair, that has happened in video games where you kill the boss and then.
Again, I would say the appeal to video games is is fraught with it's a different thing. Right? Like, a video game is different than a TTRPG. It is entirely different.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I don't know, dude. I play Destiny, and, like, I kill a boss, and a chest appears, and I'm just there, and I'm like...
Well, that's just a problem with that game, I know. But... What I'm saying, so like...
Was he an inexperienced DM?
Yes, that's what I was saying. I assume he's better. Okay. I assume he's better at this point. It was the most railroaded thing I've ever played, and I did not want to play anymore after that. I was just like, I can't do that.
DM stories here.
Yeah, sure.
At least yours was inexperienced and had an excuse.
Oh no! Okay.
My DM.
Please go
had
on.
Like 35 years of experience in the same system.
Okay.
So again, this was what I was telling you guys about on my stream.
Yep.
Taking my shield and sliding down the slippery slope.
Right.
Into the cave, which then we couldn't leave the cave because that was the only way out, and it was too steep of a hill. And it's snow, not ice. Apparently.
Okay.
We couldn't climb out.
Use your enemy.
Yeah. So then we have to go through this icy cold dungeon, which was fine, whatever.
Sure.
And there's water everywhere. We had to like find a boat. I don't remember like how this happened, but somehow we like got near a white dragon, and knowing our DM, we all knew we were supposed to be there. So we tried to leave and we couldn't. And it was awful. We didn't die. I don't remember what happened because I think that was the very last session we and that was like a campaign that it went like 10, 12 sessions maybe.
Yeah.
Finally, we just were like, this isn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, 35 years, same crap.
That's that's the thing. Like, and again, what I would again stress is that I understand that railroading sometimes is necessary, but again, don't make it feel like I'm being led on this railroad.
Yeah. So there's a saying that I like, and it's there's two paths in the forest, both have an ogre on them.
Mm-hmm.
And now some can interpret that as like, oh, make it so that no matter where your players go, they don't have agency.
Right.
Which is, that's not what the statement
means. It's the illusion of
yes, exactly.
Both lead to the same cave, but they don't need to know that.
Yep.
And you can have players go where they want and have a story that is set up for, like, they will encounter this, then they will encounter this, and then they will encounter this. But it's sort of like fudging roles insofar that it only matters so long as they don't know.
Yes.
Right.
Sure.
But fucking.
But when they finish it, if they go back and decide to go, you better have something in mind too.
And I believe when you first brought this up, I think I had some issue with it before, just because of the way it was worded. And like, again, I would say, like, if they don't go on the path that has if you predetermined the path to have the ogre on it, right, then if they miss the ogre, if they completely do not like go to the ogre, you have the ogre do something to make it so that they know that they missed and messed up, quote unquote.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, no, like
Right.
absolutely,
And
that's just part of having a living world.
That's
in
yes,
general.
exactly. That's
Yep.
the thing that I would think is the more important thing to take away from it is you have to have it have consequences if you want it to make it. If you want to have the ogre on two paths, you make one of the paths be a consequence.
Right.
Because they still have to encounter that ogre. It's just in a different way, and they have a different scenario because of the fact they didn't encounter it on the other path.
So my game, my Blackrock Adventure, the party from moment one has been for like 4 sessions, and they're still on that path. But I don't say, "Oh, you come to a fork in the road." When I'm DMing, I'll say, "You come to an option. You can either go straight and continue towards that city, or you can go off the path in this other direction, and you don't know what lies there."
Sure.
Or I might even say, there's a walk, like a statue that's down this way, or a monument, or something.
Sure.
And I've done that, I think, 2 or 3 times now.
Mm-hmm.
And the last session, they skipped the first option, which was to a well, and they went to the next one, which was the ruins that they purposely went to. I had nothing prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
I winged the whole dungeon.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It worked out great. It ended up being 2 sessions of me winging it, which led to that wyvern.
Yeah.
But it was fun. They got a couple of magic items. I made lore for my world.
There you go. Yeah.
It was fun. But why do people feel the need to say there's a fork in the road if they don't have any plan for what?
Yeah, that's.
I don't do that. I used to do that when I was inexperienced. I don't do that anymore. Now I come up with at least an idea. Like, oh, it's ruins.
Yeah.
Or
totally.
Yeah, you'll come across a clearing or a river or like a rest stop area.
You make it notable, right? So that it gives them some interest. So that it doesn't feel like you're just going from A to B. It feels like there is some sort of secondary option C over here, right? And that it's still like it might be important, it might not be, but it's still something there for them to explore. And I've seen it a couple of times where people don't like that, right? They don't like the ability, like what was the one we were talking about of like the guy who was super against the basically going and having a jaunt in the forest, and we were talking about how
I remember.
Where you could encounter like some fairies and have like a little fairy fest thing.
Oh, he was saying that like it's like you can't you could do that, but it's not fun or something.
Right,
like,
yeah.
You can't have any fun.
It was
just going on a random jaunt in the forest. That was it.
It was
something
to that effect of, if you let your players dick around, basically, it's less fun or something.
Maybe for you as the DM, but
right, exactly.
They wouldn't choose it if it wasn't fun.
Even so, I would argue that a DM will have fun regardless because their players are having fun and you're like giving them some sort of like side thing.
Yeah.
I've not had fun with my players.
Well, okay, so there are some instances.
My job is not to make sure they have. My job is to make sure everybody has fun, including.
Right, yeah, everyone. Yes, absolutely. That is fair enough. That's more so what I meant. What I should have said is, most of the time, the options that are given by the DM are things that are in his wheelhouse, quote unquote. Like, he's at least somewhat prepared for the fact that the players will take interest in such a side thing. Because, or they might not, but even so, it kind of gives them more area to work with, I guess. Because I know that a lot of players gravitate towards like special NPCs, quote unquote, right? Like they make them special more so. Like they might not have been anything, but then the PCs go and find them, and they're like, they're the greatest thing ever. I want to be around this character all the time.
Yeah,
and then you have a whole character to work with, right?
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I there's a little bit of improv that is kind of there that DM should be prepared for, because players are going to be interested in the most mundane things.
Your players are like, oh, the story takes us to that dragon, screw that. I want to open a potion shop.
Exactly, right? Like
let them do it.
Something wildly out of your wheelhouse might come into play, and it might not be the best thing, but you can try to work with it and try to make it fun for you and them. And hopefully you don't get the idea that like it's bad to do the side thing, right? Like you might have your whole plot line set out, but it doesn't mean you can't take a few moments to go into the forest and have a drink with some fairies, you know?
Yeah.
Like you just you can also do that, and like I advocated for if they go and do that, then why not maybe reward them with something, if be it information, be it a magic item, be it an ally, be it just the experience itself maybe is fulfilling enough. Maybe it brings you to some sort of character development that you wouldn't have gotten to otherwise, you know? Like there's something there.
Yeah, I just, in general, I don't see the point, I guess, in confining players to a railroad or saying that, like, oh, the game will be better if and only if they stay on the railroad. Like, I offer my players choices all the time. For instance, they've come across a couple forks in the road that would lead to some small villages where they could perhaps rest for the evening or whatever. And each and every time when they've had a destination in mind and they have like a roadmap, they typically kind of railroad themselves.
Yeah.
And that they're like, I'm going to the objective. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. Like, go for it if that's what you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things that I usually do in my campaigns, and this has applied to pretty much all the campaigns that I've run, be it D&D, Call of Cthulhu, whatever, whenever there's a point where the characters are doing something and like they haven't spent their time going off and doing side stuff, like say they start out in a city and they're like, oh, you need to go to this place and do this thing. They're like, okay, so we're going to buy all these rations, we're going to buy all this food, we're going to prepare. When they don't do that, if you're in a situation where you're like in a forest or a notable location, like in the Devils and Dice campaign, it was the last session when you guys were about to leave the Ichneumon cave. And in the Call of Cthulhu campaign, it was toward the very beginning on the train when you were going to Ruston.
Right.
The thing that I asked is, does anybody want to do anything? Where I just flat out ask, is there anything that you would like to do in this area? Like, if you're in the forest, do you want to like go... You could go gather firewood. You could go forage for some berries, or
it's left
you could
up to
fill
our
a water skin. Yeah, exactly. It's left up for you to role play based on the situation that you're in, where you are. And so I like to give people the opportunity to potentially, like, you know, sometimes you come into an area in a game and you're like, it's something that I often do. Say you fight like a giant spider or giant centipede. The thing that I always do every time, whether I have survival or not, I'm always like, okay, I want to try to harvest the poison organ of this thing.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So like we fought giant centipedes. I wanna see if I can harvest like a venom sac or whatever, because venom is valuable. Whether it's for making anti-venom or poisons. I always try to harvest it. Usually fucks it up, but sometimes I get it. And then I'll either hold on to it and like poison a weapon, or I will sell it.
Yeah.
So I like to give people the opportunity to interact with their environment. And if it's in like a real world scenario, maybe they could like sell it, send a telegram, make a phone call, send a letter, you know, maybe buy a newspaper or something like that. Get a travel brochure of the area that they're going to, whatever. Just something that lets them interact with the environment. That's not necessarily a fork in the road, but it lets them gain more information, maybe some useful supplies, whatever. That's how I tend to do stuff like that if I don't have a fork in the road option available to me.
Yeah. And it feels more organic that way. Because it's just like you're not enforcing like a thing for your players to do. You're not saying you can go get firewood, you can go do that. You're not telling them the options. You're just saying there are options there.
Do you want to do anything?
Exactly.
I don't even tell them like you could go do this. I mean, if you ask me, it's like, oh, what could I do here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't even tell you.
If the question is raised, you should at least answer the question.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's not necessary because most people think about what their character does, what they do, you know, what their background is, and they go and they say, okay, I think I'll do this, right?
Yeah,
because
or like if you have a hobby like wood carving, you pick up like a lump of wood and start whittling away at that and like sew it in your backpack for later or something like that.
Exactly. So it's you can definitely not make an illusion. God, what is the word I'm looking for? Fuck.
I don't think that was the word you're looking for.
Not the word I'm looking for. You know what? You're right. It wasn't.
I don't even know what I do. Like, I feel like I probably say, you sure you don't want to go shopping? Like, I feel like I asked that.
Yeah.
That's a good way to get people to spend money. It's like, oh, we just bought all these supplies. You sure you got enough? And I'm like, shit. Oh, do we need more?
Like, I mean, it doesn't come up often.
Yeah, no, I know.
I feel like I do ask questions sometimes, but I don't know. I've never really thought about it.
To be fair as well, like there are points where you kind of worry for the well-being of your character, like of your party, because as the dungeon master, you want to watch them succeed, right?
You do get attached sometimes.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Especially when you have something prepped up ahead that's going to be dangerous, you want to make sure that they live through it.
Yeah,
at least like, in a few pieces.
And like I can understand the occasional like, are you sure that you're good? Like, you know, stuff like that is totally fair. It's not exactly railroady. It's just like you're concerned and you're trying to make sure that.
At the same time, like when you're playing a game, you don't always think how you would if you were in that character's shoes. Like you might go, "Oh yeah, I did eat all my rabbits."
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and like the subtle reminder of like, if a character is somewhere and you have something around that is. Like significant to them or could be significant to them. Like say a cleric comes to a town, right? And you're kind of just in the town, they're in the tavern or whatever, and really they're kind of mostly paying attention to what's going on around the tavern and like their party. And then, you know, you might give them a little reminder of like, oh, you see somebody else with the same kind of symbol, the holy symbol of your god. And then they go, "Oh." And then it's more to like tell them your religion is here. You could go find a temple if you wanted to, right? Like to see if they are if you know they're more pious and they would want to offer like charity to their temple or whatever, a sect of their temple. And so if you know that and you know that's something they would do, then you could give that little hint and then they go up to them and you're like, oh yeah, it's a member of the local chapter. And then they go, oh, there's a local chapter. Okay, I guess I'll go and, you know, you can give that
a little bit.
Yeah, you can go give that. God damn it. You can go and give that, you can give them that little push because you want to, you know, make sure that they're still playing to that character, you know?
Right.
And it's not really railroady. It's more just a gentle nudge.
No.
Yeah, they might say no. They might be like, maybe I'll do it in the morning. I don't know. Or maybe I won't do it at all. Maybe I'm having a crisis of faith. I don't know.
Yeah.
Screw my God.
Right.
Oh, shoot, my spells don't work.
Yeah.
I love you, Asmodeus.
Right, exactly. I don't believe in you.
Asmodeus.
Yeah.
I remember actually in Alejo and I's first campaign, we were playing with Brogan, no nat ones, and he had on his character sheet that his cleric worshipped Vecna.
Right.
Because
I remember that.
he thought.
By the way, no nat ones is a fraud. He rolled a nat in my game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, he'll do that.
Yeah,
he has a curse about him whenever he plays. When he
He's
DMs, he's fine.
Yeah.
But when he plays, he's cursed.
He fudges his rolls. He's like, I didn't roll a 1. I rolled.
And yeah, his character worshipped Vecna because he thought Vecna was a goddess who was the god of good, because he, I guess, swapped Vecna and Bahamut.
Yeah,
I think he told me about this on my.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think he did.
Okay.
So when Vecna shows up,
Oh my god.
his cleric was very confused.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was so good.
That's great.
Yeah. So we're we're 2.5 hours in already. Wow.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, I make things fun.
No. Absolutely no. It's great. I love it. I just want to make sure that we take an intermission just in case
Yes.
everybody.
I am
needs
3 cans of iced tea in, and boy, oh boy, I'm
considering a bathroom.
Okay. Yeah. So let's take an intermission here, and we'll be right back.
Yep. All right. Sounds good.
All right. Let's bring it back to the TTRPGs. Welcome back to the show.
Oh right, we weren't recording for all
we
that.
weren't recording for that. Yeah.
Oh, are we recording now?
Yeah, now we are. Now, yes.
Oh, damn, that was quick.
Yeah.
Kept going, man.
You're good.
Glad
So
we
yeah,
didn't get that on.
welcome.
Incriminating.
Welcome back. We got a comment actually during the recording. That was Saylock commented, and we read into it. But yeah, it's good to see you're still watching, dude.
Yeah.
Nice.
Are we live?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
This is all been live?
Right? Like, I wish, dude. That'd be cool.
You thought we weren't live all along. Turns out we were.
Oh, don't worry. It's easy if you want to.
Yeah, right.
No, I mean, I would love to do it. It's the internet that I have is awful, so I can't do that. But yeah. So we were talking about horror stories and all that, and I wanna stress the fact that we don't want any like hate to go towards the people that we've talked about. Obviously, like,
yes,
we support that they are having fun. We want them to continue to do their own thing. It's just when you have those.
Brogan that you were talking his DM style. And...
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, we do that to his face. It's fine.
We won't hate on it.
Yeah, no, no, we hate on Brogan all the time. It's fine.
We hate on each other.
Yeah, we
just always talking shit.
Absolutely.
In fairness, most of us are really supportive for Brogan in terms of his channel and his DMing style. It's when he plays video games that we shit on him.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yes, most of the time. Is he the worst team player?
Okay, so let me put it to you this way: do you know? I assume you know what Overwatch is.
Yeah, it's a first-person shooter game that I've never played.
There is then that's fine. There is a character in the game named Ana. And she has the ability to hit you with a tranquilizer dart and push you to sleep. And basically, you're completely immobile on the ground for like 7,
I know where
8,
this is going.
Yeah, around 10 seconds ish. As long as you don't get shot. If you get shot while you're down, you wake up instantly. So
you wake up or you're dead.
You wake up. Like if you get shot and it doesn't kill you, you wake up and you get back up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Most of the time you get shot in the head and you die, but so what happened was me and Brogan, no nat ones, were playing in a game mode 3v3. It was me and him alive versus one other person, the enemy person. And the enemy was playing as a tracer, which is like a really fast mobile character. And he hits her with the tranquilizer dart, knocks her out. At this point, I think I was dead. He hits her with the tranquilizer dart, knocks her out, and has her dead to rights. She is laying on the ground completely still, and he can't hit her. 3 shots of a sniper rifle. He misses 3 times and loses.
On a non-moving target?
Yep.
Yes.
So the sniper rifle at least moves like on its own, like with
no.
Nope, it
doesn't. So it's not like Battlefield.
Where
it's like you have to like time
there's no sway really. Nope, there's a little drop, isn't there?
No, there's no bullet drop.
There's no bullet drop.
There's no bullet, and it's hit scan.
Yeah.
And it's hit scan. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that is the moment that he basically that I will never let him live down.
Yeah. Oh, that's fair.
I am the worst.
I have stood next to Brogan when we were playing Deep Rock Galactic as like an oppressor was walking up to him, and he stood still shooting it in the face, and I'm just like watching nearby, and I'm like, I could kill it, but if I kill it, how will he learn?
How will he learn?
There's a reason I don't play games like Call of Duty.
Yeah, it's.
I go like 3 and 15.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like same with me in Titanfall. I'm not very good at Titanfall.
Yeah,
I can fly in that.
Yeah, I like Titanfall. It's a good time. But yeah, yeah. So we shit on each other a lot, and honestly, if we get shit on by other people, that's fine. Like
it's basically
honestly,
my Twitter comments from today.
Yeah,
Say what you want, guys.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
can shovel shit on me, but that means you shall interact with this shit, and then that means that I have the home field advantage.
I welcome trolls on my channel. I welcome dislikes, give me whatever you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You want to come tell me I'm wrong? I'm cool.
Yeah, but of course, the point again is just obviously we're gonna clown on people because we got our show and we have fun and all that stuff, and but also like we have our criticisms as well, and just because we have these things does not mean that we are hating on them as people.
Oh God,
we're
no.
just
try to be fair.
We try to be fair. It's true.
We try to be fair.
Every now and again, yeah, absolutely.
Cut off his hands.
That
did you see that?
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. It's really good.
I even talked about it with Dave from Nerd Arc. Yeah.
Really? Oh my god! I gotta go watch that after then.
I don't know if I talked about it on stream or if it was off stream because we talked like a half.
Okay. Yeah, I've wanted for us to cover a Nerdarchy video for a while actually.
There's so many.
They're quality stuff, honestly, mostly, as far as I've seen. So I would love to just look at them and kind of like actually talk about some of the stuff that they talk about. It'd be really fun.
Dave and Ted are awesome. Like you got to try and find like their session.
Their session what? Sorry, you cut out.
Like a session 0 video.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe like I don't know, anything like that's usually.
Sure, yeah.
But it's hard to find opinion videos by them now because they don't do a lot.
Yeah. That's
they do like here's a new class.
They've done a lot of factual videos, and so it's one of those things where like I want to find stuff that is more of claims / opinions / just like entertainment as well, just because it's like when you go for facts, then usually they're correct. It's only every now and again that I see videos that are factually they have some fuck ups, but
it's usually a mistake. Like,
exactly,
they'll acknowledge I fucked up.
Yeah, and usually that is the case, but that's why I try to steer clear from just fact videos, right?
Then you have people saying that DMs who improv are problem GMs.
Yeah, exactly. When you have that kind of stuff,
Nobody said that.
Oh no,
okay. Hold on. Link you to a video that I shared with No Nat Ones literally this evening.
That's right. Yeah, it's by.
There you go.
Oh, we go on YouTube.
It finds me. Yeah. It finds me. I go on YouTube and it's there, and I go, oh, I hate it.
Yeah, it's.
But how does that? Like, I don't get any of that crap. Like,
it's because we do the show. Yeah, it's because we do the show. Like we go to like. Honestly, we found.
This guy also said that out of character chatter. But what did he say was out of character?
He said that if the DM is telling you, oh god, if the DM's telling you, oh fuck, it's like something about your class or something or your abilities?
It was something very very natural and basic.
Yeah, and he said that that's when he says to the DM, no, that's out of character chatter. Stop it.
Yeah.
Wait. Who determines that the DM?
No one.
Is the DM ever in character? Like,
I mean, the DM can be in character, but if the DM is telling you so, like he has this idea that only in character chatter is all that should be happening at the table.
I can't stand people like that.
It's ridiculous. It's
online. I get it a little bit.
In fact,
It's a lot more intense anyway, but
if you honestly, if you want to see our full thing on it, it is literally the one that came, like the most recent one that came out before this one, the most recent podcast that we did, 28, because he was talking about Fate and how it's not an RPG, and it was ridiculous.
What?
It's a plethora. Please go watch it. It's amazing.
It's really
There's
good.
also such gems as a role-playing game is a game where you play a role.
Yep. It's like, yes, wow, amazing, you did it. It's like it's amazing that these people exist. It is really interesting. And honestly, it's one of those things where we find that kind of. Oh, go on.
While this has been going on, I've been like listening to his video, and I found the thing, and he's talking about how as the GM can invoke certain aspects about your character in a certain scene.
Right.
And the DM can invoke one of their aspects. Your character is vengeful. You have to attack the goblins. And for me, when I'm playing,
I hate when
I'd say, that's out of character, chatter, stop it, speak in character only. And second of all, don't tell me how to roleplay my character. I can roleplay my character. You don't worry about that. You worry about your characters.
So now, and to be fair,
I agree with him and I disagree with him. I hate when someone takes over my character for me.
Well, so now I have to explain, because Fate has a system in it where the vengeful thing would be his trouble, and so they're just they're just enacting that little compulsion. And apparently he never read that you can deny the compulsion with a fate point, so he's determined to tell you that apparently this is just the DM just telling you to do things with no option otherwise.
I mean, it's no different than like in 5e if your flaw is that you're trying to get revenge for the people who killed your parents, and the DM says, by the way, these are the people that killed your parents.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, that's the same freaking thing.
Oh, we lost Aiden.
You lost me?
Okay, well,
yeah, he seems to.
he'll be back.
There
maybe.
he is. There
he
Am I here? Who are we talking about?
No, he's good.
Who
Aiden.
Oh, okay. I didn't even
he's
know.
good.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, you're good.
No, it's fine.
Go on.
That's going usually.
But,
No
like,
one
it's the
usually
same-
notices when I'm gone.
He's sneaky for a reason. Anyway,
No.
go on.
Like, that's
Yes.
annoying, though.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where I just so like I was saying, we find these kinds of, like, there are these gems out there, right? These absolute gems.
You always stumble across them.
Oh, it's amazing when we do. And like having, like, we haven't gone back to our first gem that we found, because
God,
one day
Or Twitter, you guys find them on Twitter too.
Yeah,
I don't know how you
yeah.
in the sea of a million bazillion posts.
Yeah. Oh, it's just something that just happened. Like it's so. I don't understand it myself, but I'm glad that it happens. Right? Like, either I'll look for it and then I find it, or it's dropped onto me like on a silver platter, and I'm just like, oh yes.
I wouldn't use the silver platter analogy. I think of it more as in YouTube is the cat giving us the dead mouse.
Yes. Yeah.
And they don't know. How do they know?
Algorithm, dude, it's a mysterious thing. I hate it.
You wake up in the morning and you're like, today's gonna be a good day, and then like YouTube just drops that on your lap and you just feel like a lip start to curl.
I mean, like, so for example, my video today about the catfall is all my opinions. Like, that's all it is. I showed every feat and I gave my opinion on every single one.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I'm sure it's easy to tear apart. Nobody's torn, but I'm sure they will in the next couple days.
Sure. I mean, like, it's one of those things where it's just, you open yourself to criticism when you give those kinds of videos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like I hope that people see it as a healthy thing where people will go and they will criticize.
I hope people do.
I fucking hope.
Because I could have been like basics for gamers.
Sure.
And just been informative.
Absolutely.
But I don't, that's not me.
Sure.
Like, and I could have been like No Nat One, who does that, but then adds his spin on it a little bit of opinion, but tries not to.
Yeah.
Or it could just be like, screw it, here's my opinion on it.
Sure. And that's totally fine. It's like there's nothing wrong with any sort of content made on this kind of stuff as long as it is inherently factual in its like as long as you not inherently factual, sorry. What I mean to say is you are consistent, I guess, is more important, right? Because if you are doing the fact kind of video, you are consistent with the facts and you do the facts, and that's really what matters. And that's what Basics for Gamers does. And we watched one of those videos when Brogan was on, and it's very informative. I'm very pleased with that kind of stuff. It will definitely help those who watch it. And then again, if you're consistent with those kinds of facts, and then you give that little opinion spin on it, you can differentiate what is fact and what is opinion, right? Yeah. And again, you can still criticize the opinion. But the facts are usually the facts unless they are gotten wrong. And then if you do just entirely opinion, if you're consistent with your opinion throughout, like, I respect that you have your opinion. It's just that if I find something incorrect in it or I have a different take on it, I'm going to criticize, right?
You should.
And again, yeah, it's healthy. It's
I think people
discussion.
do opinion videos to get you to interact with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know? That's not necessarily my goal, but at the same time, my thing is I love the conversation. Like this tonight, love the conversations.
Great.
Part of my YouTube channel, I love the conversations. It's not so much about getting the interactions that lead to views.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I actually thoroughly enjoy the conversation.
Absolutely.
Even if I disagree.
Yeah, like, and that is ultimately like why we do what we do as the podcast. Oh, by the way, he also has a video called "Prepare to Improvise."
Yeah, I'm seeing that, and I hate it. I hate it already. Anyway,
but like, even if someone proves us wrong and they make this like lengthy letter to us about,
I would love it.
Oh, we're awful, yada yada, we're wrong on this, and this. We still win because we've still accomplished our purpose of promoting discussion and discourse. And
exactly, it's in the fucking, it's in the title of the show.
Like,
right.
If you send a letter that's like a book, my reaction will still be, thank you for interacting.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we'll go and we'll look at it on our show and we'll go point by point.
Like, and then honestly, more likely than not, if there's a point that you've made that we agree with and we think it's good, we are more than happy to say that we like it and we agree with it, and we might even use it in the future.
We've already gotten 2 comments that are like, hey, I prefer this, and we're like, yeah, that's well thought out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Yeah, super. Like,
wasn't that the one that we did last time?
I think so. Yeah, the fate thing. When he was talking about when I was talking about
like starting out as like a prince or whatever.
Yeah, the catch-all.
Yeah.
And we looked at that, and I was like, I was honestly in a different mindset, and honestly, now thinking about it, the way that you phrased it, absolutely, I agree. I have less of an issue with it. Like, it's like, I love that. I fucking love that. It's so good, so good. And I hope that we can get more of that. Absolutely, it'll be fantastic. But yeah, I know we're just kind of shooting the shit now, basically.
you have,
sorry, man.
No, it's good. No, it's fine. Absolutely. Honestly, this is like as much as your time to shine and say things, and as ours to like gush about whatever, as well as our criticisms towards everything that we've done. It's a thing about the podcast. We go on our tangents and shit, you know?
Yeah. I'm just having fun. That's all I'm here.
Good. I honestly. Very happy. Very happy to hear that.
You know, I'm gonna have to ask you to stop having fun. That's
something we do.
Get it? Yeah, fun police is here. Fun police.
It's like that D&D meme. I told the players to have fun, damn it, and they're not role playing. What?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. But we're gonna cut off one of your hands as a warning.
It is true.
So...
Yeah.
Cut off the hand.
Right. Only one though.
Yeah, just one.
You get to keep.
I need to
get off easy.
You need to ask Guy about that. He's one of your friends.
I'm gonna do it on Twitter.
Is this you?
We need to.
Right I gotta find him first.
We need to ask Guy about that.
I'll tag you guys.
Okay, sure, yeah.
I don't even know if he goes by Guy.
I don't know.
He might go by Bia. Is it by Bia?
Did I follow? I think no. Wait, I don't know if I
How
followed
to be a
him
great
on Twitter.
GM.
How to be
a
a
great GM.
Everyone, go subscribe to his channel. He's got an accent.
You should honestly. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah, actually.
I know. Honestly,
I'd be super honored to have him on.
As much as we've clowned on his like really ranty videos,
he's really smart.
Like he the one that we did has made me very sure that he at least has good things to say about the
we did it on character backstory and building characters.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's.
I don't know what his.
It's a freaking incredible video.
Yeah,
like,
it was great.
I mean, such is the nature of when you post hundreds of videos. Like they can't all be winners.
Of course, yeah. And if you need the link to it, I got it for you.
On Twitter?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, sweet. Okay, let me.
But yeah, and I did follow him with our account. Good. But yeah, it's just the nature of content, really. You're gonna have not everything's gonna be 100% not foolproof.
You can't hit a home run with every video.
Sure, that we'll go.
No,
with that.
He does a lot.
Yeah, and honestly, like work ethic, great, good.
He's got a team around him.
Like him and taking 20. I know we've clowned on a lot too, and again, same thing. Like, I have seen a couple of his videos that I've been like, this is good. I just don't like the title and the thumbnails, right? Because again, I've said this to others as well. It's just like the whole clickbaity thing. I understand that it's kind of like necessary, but I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some things that use it effectively that don't like do it to such a degree.
Well, okay, so this is interesting. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Kind of. So people will call something clickbait because it has an enticing title. When that's not exactly what clickbait is. Clickbait is like when you dangle the carrot and then they go to bite the carrot and it's not actually a carrot.
Yeah.
So do you mean in that instance, or do you just mean like a catchy title that like you click on and maybe it's not good content, but it is what they said.
That instance that you're talking about is the stuff that I do not like.
When it's not the carrot.
When it's not the carrot. When they completely that's the stuff that I'm like. The other stuff is the colloquialism of clickbait that has become.
Yes.
That stuff I'm fine with because it's like you're still talking about it. I just don't like it as much.
So I did a video and it was called "Whatever Spell is Breaking Your Title." Now in the video, I got crucified everywhere I posted it. They're like, "It's not like most of these people didn't even." But they're like, oh, it's not broken, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, clearly you didn't watch the video. So in the video, I explain why some people think it's broken. But then I give solutions to those people who are struggling with it in their games and how to handle it as a dungeon master.
Okay.
I think I did like Spirit Guardian, Healing Word, one of those ones. And so in the end, I'm giving like tips on different ways you can do it. I also say, don't do the same thing every time. Because it's just as annoying as the player who spams that spell over and over again, knowing that you struggle with.
Sure.
So anyways, but yeah, it's like one of my big pet peeves when someone comments, oh, it's click. In fact, my only review on Facebook is a 1 out of 5 because of that video. Someone went from the group that I posted it, found my Facebook page, and wrote a review and said, stop making clickbait videos. And I've done like 2 in 8 years.
So I guess what I would ask is what was the title of it again?
It was like I think like Spirit Guardians
is broken.
It's either broken or breaking your. That was the title.
So
I'd have to pull it up. But yeah.
So I guess Spirit Guardians is broken. I would have issue with. Spirit Guardians is breaking your game. I would also have issues with, actually.
See, but you wouldn't be the target audience because you already know how to handle it, right?
So even if
it's
I'm
meant
not
for the people who feel that way, though.
So I understand that, but I also disagree. So what I would say,
I disagree too.
So what I would
I disagree that it's broken. It's not broken.
I understand that. What I'm saying is I disagree with using that titling.
Gotcha. So what would you call it?
I would call it. Let me see. I would call it. I would probably add like a caveat of, and here's how I'd fix it, or something to that effect, because it then informs them that they are going to be
why Spirit Guardians is fine,
or something like that. It's one of those things where it's more informative to say exactly what your purpose is than to say this is broken, right? Because when you're saying this is broken, you've now got me looking at it going, what do you mean this is broken? It's not broken, right? It's not more so the, and I don't know the analytics of it, and I don't know if people who...
It 100% did way better than most of my...
Okay, but what I mean is, I don't know the amount of people that think that way too, right? Who actually think that way versus the people who don't think that way.
This is actually the same exact point I made when we were talking about this with No Nat Ones, and it was specifically Juce, when you mentioned that Alejo isn't the target audience. I actually mentioned when we were talking to Brogan about it, it was there was a video, I think Brogan titled one of his, and it was basically the point I made was, well, you can how would I put this? You can title a video as an antithesis if it is simply meant to capture people who are only going into Google and searching Spirit Guardians is dumb because they want something to confirm their own opinion. And then I would consider it's still clickbaity, but I consider it more acceptable in terms of clickbait if it is then you're trying to get people who are only trying to confirm their own opinion in the echo chamber of the internet, and then pulling the rug out from under their feet and sitting them down and going, all right, now you listen here. This is why Spirit Guardians is fine.
So what would you guys... So say I did that video. I titled it Spirit Guardians is broken. What is your expectation of that?
My expectation is to hear you make an argument that Spirit Guardians is broken and does not work for D&D.
Which I start that way.
But
I explain how I wrecked a game.
That's the only thing.
And
like
then
that's,
I do the opposite.
Yeah, like I understand what it becomes. I get that, and that's fine. It's just one of those things where it's. I guess it's not. It's not
the title that bothers you. It's not.
Yeah, it is the title itself. Yeah, that's it really. And I guess if
I do hate the word broken too, but. That is like a pet peeve as well.
It is.
I hate when people say games are broken.
Definitely used way too much.
Yes.
But it would also if I were to look at the actual thumbnail as well.
You know you're going to watch it tomorrow.
Oh, I might. Yeah, actually. You've already got me. Yeah, you got me now.
See, that's why it works though.
Well, that's it's not. But that's the thing. It's not because I disagree with you. It's because I don't like the titling, right?
So why would you click it?
Because damn it, I've already clicked it. I clicked it right now.
So it's the same thing where I did the Pathfinder review. The exact same thing. I even said it's a review. And someone goes in there who doesn't like Pathfinder just to tell me I suck. And I shouldn't have done it now. I should have done it a year ago.
But that's the thing. I'm not trying to discredit you in any way, right? I'm just trying to see why you would title it such.
Right.
And that's why I would click it, because it's the interest of like, why would you make a claim that no one should be making, because that doesn't make sense.
That being said, Juice, I'm just going to put you on blast for just a second. I gotta say, man, what an absolute stunner of a first frame for a video.
I don't even know what it was. What is it? That's like a video from last year.
Let me bring that up. That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one.
Did you post in the Discord? You did.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. Yes. I'm showing off my grill, man.
There you go. So
see, that frame is broken.
So yeah, like I don't disagree with the stance that you take. I am in fact all for it. It's just one of those things where I feel like you can do the same thing but still give the information that you are quote unquote fixing it, right? Like you're gonna be able to bring in that crowd because they're gonna go, no, it's fucking broken. What the fuck do you mean? And they're gonna go and they're gonna click it. Still,
most of them don't make it to that part where I actually.
Right, exactly. That's the thing. But you still win, right? Like,
right.
But still.
Well, no, because they don't. The algorithm, if you don't watch more than 50%, it drops off.
That is true.
And then people don't come back, and
that is true. But what you're doing, you've even said though that what you're doing is trying to get the people that think that way to click it.
Yes.
So you've already accomplished your goal, regardless of it. So you can still do that in such a way that you draw them in, but you also make them angry to the point of like, how do you fix that? It's so broken, right?
So there's actually this whole while I've been browsing XP to level 3 videos because Jacob gives the perfect duality of man when it comes to the worst and the best titles for videos.
Jacob is all over the place.
So we have the Death House sucks and how to fix it.
Right.
That
I go
immediately below it, the worst dungeon ever.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Like
no detail, nothing else.
That's the worst.
Although if you watch his Tomb of Annihilation or his what was it? Damn it, the Tomb of Horrors video. That tells you.
Yeah, like I've yet to watch the worst dungeon ever because that I feel like is going to be on the docket at some point, right? Because just the title alone, I'm like, no.
I feel it has that energy.
It has that energy, right? But
we have Dispel Magic is a dumb spell.
Yes.
And that or vampires are dumb.
So were you okay with that one?
No.
Dispel Magic is a dumb
No, we covered it. No, not okay with it.
Okay, just checking. Checking.
We're consistent at least.
Did you disagree or because
yes?
It's not
also
true,
disagree,
or...
but also I don't like the thing.
Okay, so I'm trying to understand.
It's both. I disagree, and I don't like the title, and I don't like the.
Yeah, I think it's poorly phrased.
So I suck at making titles. So most of my titles are exactly like I will literally say reviewing Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Like that's it.
That's
I don't
totally
even go.
fine.
That's fine.
I don't go for SEO or any of that stuff.
Right.
I literally. Like most of the time, but it's not interesting, and I know it negatively impacts my channel.
So yeah, and I understand.
In fact, I've had people audit my channel stuff that's catchy.
Sure.
I will also say, I think his Dispel Magic is a dumb spell is probably his worst titled video.
Yeah.
And the thumbnail of just a flat "this is dumb" I really don't like.
Yeah.
However, right next to it, how to write homebrew, races, classes, spells, and feats. Below it, how I write D&D homebrew, and it's really nice.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. How to write D&D homebrew. It's clear. It's concise. You know exactly what you're getting with it.
Exactly.
As opposed to just a stock image and just the words "this is dumb" with no context towards anything.
Exactly.
I get that. The no context thing is bad. I'm 100% on board.
So and the other thing is like when it says how I write D&D homebrew, I know exactly what I'm going to go into. It's
going to be an opinion piece.
It is an opinion piece.
I was expecting a rant though with the Dispel. The Dispel one doesn't bother me because I'm like, oh okay, I'm expecting a rant,
but it's
and
not
him to go off about how dumb it is.
But it's not.
Yeah, but it's not.
And that's clickbait. That's not right.
Yeah, it's not. It's not about that. In fact, he oh my god.
He had. I think if I recall right, he has an intro bit about how it's dumb.
Yeah.
And then he goes back on that point and talks about how it's okay, and he has a bit with him talking to himself on the floor.
Exactly.
Talking about how
it's one of those floor videos.
Yeah, it's a floor video. Yeah.
Oh, it turns into a floor video.
Yeah. No,
and I think the one that pissed us off the most, I believe it was his Wizards one, whereas like wizards are dumb.
Yep.
And he goes the whole video.
Yeah. No.
I don't remember. I don't think he does.
No, he doesn't.
Like a wizard video.
Yeah, no, those are just whatever. Those are subjective.
But basically, what he does is he starts off the whole video basically going through all the the reasons why wizards are dumb. It's like, oh, they're so OP, they're yada yada yada, all these different things, and I forget how he structured it, but he comes in at the end and says, "No, they're not dumb."
That's the one that I was attributing.
Well, we played up both sides.
Yeah, he immediately after he at the very end he just completely goes 180, and it's like, what is the point of the video then? I guess like
it's like 9.5 minutes.
It's not like he was trying to help or anything. Literally,
like I assume in the video he's trying to get you to see that. So I don't know what he's trying to do.
Yeah, it's so poorly done.
It's 9.5 minutes of complaining about wizards and a final 15 seconds of him deconstructing his own points and then cutting to black.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I don't
know the thing. And here's the thing: if he titled the video, like, people think wizards are dumb. If he titled it that would have been better. That would have been better. Or it said wizards are not dumb, and here's why.
Yeah, that would have also been fine.
Or something like that.
Understand?
But see, that's not going to do as well. So it's the same thing we see in any kind of media now.
Absolutely, I understand the need for the SEO. I understand you got to get that money. You got to get that cheddar. You got to get that rent paid. That's fine.
And Jacob is not an informative channel. He's an entertainment channel.
Okay, so now we're going into this. Okay, so
so here's
the thing. Here's the thing.
100% entertainment.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
I go to for information. He's not. Like,
I understand that.
Expert. He's wrong on half the.
I understand that.
Fair
absolutely.
enough.
Absolutely. So here's the thing. Just because you're an entertainment channel does not mean when you make a criticism that does not deserve this kind of scrutiny.
I'm not disagreeing with your scrutiny.
Right.
Let me be clear on that. Like, you guys have your opinion titles. I'm totally cool with that. But yeah, like, to go into it and say, well, I'm expecting him to be very informative about wizards. I'm not.
So
I'm expecting him to be.
That's the thing, though.
Now it sounds like it wasn't.
There is a fine line here, because just because he's a comedy channel does not mean that you look at every title as a comedy bit. Because there are clear ones that are comedy, and then there are clear ones that are information.
I agree with that.
So this is one of those cases of, I look at this and it doesn't scream comedy to me. It looks like he's trying to branch out and be less comedic and be more informative. In fact, I think that's what he's doing more so, is try to be informative with a comedic spin. That seems to be where he's going more so, and he's doing less of the more comedy stuff. So I think he's very much trying to become that and be looked at that. But when he tries to do that, a lot of the time he is not very informative. He has some bad takes that we just need to look at, and it needs to be looked. And I want him to grow more so because of it. And I know he'll never see what we say, but
you might. You might be surprised.
Nah,
he's a young guy too, like you guys.
Nah, I doubt he'd look at it because he'd not like what we say.
He would love it. I guarantee you.
I don't know. Honestly, if he did, that'd be cool. I'd be super down for it. But like, I don't know.
So we also have like all sides of the spectrum. We have don't fudge your dice rolls, which good statement to GMs. I think I've seen that one, and he basically said with that one, it's okay if you fudge, just make sure your players never know. So the whole point of this video is don't fudge your dice rolls, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
How to play monk, D&D 5e, and then right next to it we have Logan the runesmith when your character has a dumb name.
Exactly.
So it's variety.
You can tell it's not specifically just comedy. Absolutely. So it's one of those things where when I hear the whole,
I agree. But he's basically the PewDiePie of the RPG industry, of the RPG YouTube.
Fair. I'd actually say that's fair.
Yeah, that's his personality. It's a Jacob, I love you, but you're obnoxious as hell most of the time, and you appeal to an audience that's not necessarily. But I am entertained occasionally when I watch videos.
Okay.
I feel I should also make a statement of his one of his really clickbaity sounding videos, Intelligence is Dumb, D&D 5e.
That was really good.
Yeah, that was a super good video, and I loved the shit out of that one.
Yeah, no, that was. Did we cover that? I
we
think
did.
We covered that. Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
so what Brogan say? Because you said you guys had this conversation with.
It was at the entertainment one. Like he's an entertainer.
Yeah.
What Brogan say about it?
We got to basically the same point we're at here.
Yeah. As
Okay.
as soon as you
So
said,
me and Brogan agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Both
Absolutely.
the exact same points.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And as soon as you said, "Well, XP to level 3 is an entertainer," I started laughing because I'm like, "Oh, you shouldn't have said that around Alejo."
That's the thing. Like, I understand that he is looked at it that way, but that doesn't excuse the bad
I'm not
content.
saying anybody is immune to
Right. Yeah.
any of that. I agree. When you make a YouTube channel, you are yourself up to all of that.
Oh, absolutely.
And I understand like some people have pet peeves such as clickbait, thumbnails, titles.
Sure.
Yeah. I have pet peeves too. I hate when people use the word broken about games. No game is broken if you can play it, even with some house ruling. Like it's not broken. That's my opinion. But at the same time, every now and then I'm going to use that word too. Yeah. But I don't do clickbait videos very often.
Right. Yeah.
I think ever.
Yeah, and it's
800 videos.
It's one of those things where I like, and I'm glad that it's not. You're not this way. I'm not saying you are. I'm not saying Brogan is. There are those out there that will go, it's a comedy channel, you shouldn't criticize it so much, right? And that kind of argument is where I like, as soon as somebody says it's a comedy channel, I then like my back tenses and I'm like, oh, I don't want this.
There's expectations.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think any channel, like if you don't know the channel, that's one. But like if you know the channel, I think you have expectations, or you should have expectations.
Sure.
Like I know if I'm going to a video, I expect two white dudes to discuss something about D&D.
Sure.
And it's going to be mostly opinion, but information. And it's basically just like sitting around with some dudes talking about RPG.
Yeah, I would say they don't stray too far from some fact stuff though.
Right, but if you go back like 3 years where I started to know them, it's a lot of opinions and like what they think of.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
But now, you're right.
Yeah. Now, from what I've
views
seen.
on classes.
Yeah.
And like I'm totally all right with making meme videos like there's like when the rogue hits level 4 and it's a picture of Jacob with the sword and a frantic look on his face. Like, sure, by all means. Or really bad Unearthed Arcana, which I watched like half of, and it was just Jacob giving his opinion on some of the more broken parts of UA.
Oh, like, he said it.
You guys are motivating me to do a clickbait video. I'm not gonna lie. I have this. I've actually put down like 4 video ideas tonight while talking to you guys. Like, but like one of them, like right now, I'm like, I want to do it.
Glad you're inspired at least.
I'm due.
Do it.
I wonder if they'll do a whole 4-hour segment.
You're trying to incur the wrath. I see. Oh.
I mean, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna go all out.
Oh my god.
The unfortunate part of when, like, say, for instance, when I try to be really fair with someone, is I will absolutely defend someone's video, or oh well, to be fair, I think they could be going for more like this or whatever. But the unfortunate part about that is, despite how much I like you and I love your content, like I have no problem putting you on blast.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I have no problem with being put on.
Exactly. Like that's the thing. We're not gonna treat anybody special. Absolutely.
Like I told you guys when I first discovered you guys, like not too long ago, like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like, feel free to go through all my videos. Do it all the time if you want.
Yeah.
I will take any exposure I can.
Yeah. All right.
It's like roll stats. Like
absolutely.
On blast, but I still look forward to having him on.
Absolutely.
And like chatting with him.
Yeah. It'll be great. It'll be
whatever you do. Do not tell him about the dirty side of the OSR.
The dirty side of
He's very defensive of the OSR community.
Oh.
He's very defensive of it because he's a fan of it, and he.
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say take a note there.
Dirty side of
he might just be like, "All right, guys, that was a fun conversation."
Community And I will put a little note saying recommended by Juce. There we go.
Yay.
Well, okay. So
Save as to talk.
we do our. I forget we're doing this, but that's okay. We were doing a stream a couple weeks ago. My wife and I were mini paints, and he was in the chat, and we got onto OSR games, and I was like, I don't know which ones I'm comfortable playing or not because I've heard community, and he did this whole, like, and he's really passionate about the game. That's what he likes. That's his thing.
Perfectly.
And I misspoke, I think, because I'm talking about something I still don't really. And I think I offended him, and I felt really bad, obviously, because I'm good friends with him. I love the guy; he's a great guy. But so yeah, just don't bring up the schmucks and the.
Oh sure. Well, I mean, yeah, it's not.
I am of the opinion that neither is superior because you can't have an edition be better or worse than any other edition because it is purely about what your table enjoys.
Oh,
yeah, he's okay talking about different.
Yeah, that's
not the problem.
No, that's not the problem.
It's specific writers that are in it.
Okay.
There's a couple writers I take issue with.
Yeah, and me too. Like I'm not cool with some of them, but I also don't know enough about it to know which ones are the good ones, or
well, even so, then I would assume that he would try to inform you more so than.
He has off air.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like, if it were to come up, I would hope that he would try to inform more so than deflect or leave.
Right.
So
Alejo.
I assume, at least.
I just had an idea come to me.
Okay.
We've been talking about clickbaity videos and how specifically to title videos, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this has been 3.5 hours of just shooting the shit. How are you gonna title this video?
3.5 hours of shooting the shit.
Yeah, I'm just gonna probably call it like the standard table talk discussion and discourse episode.
How not to
Episode 29 with Juce from Master of the Game.
How not to call people out on Twitter and how not to title YouTube videos.
Yeah, right. Like this has been a bit of an anomaly where we didn't really have a
it's been a variety pack.
Yeah, this is
normal with me.
Like it's definitely still been, I hope, informative.
Yeah, it's been super chill, and I mean, we talked about methods of like leveling up and
it's true.
Like role play, character building, downtime.
Yeah, we definitely still were at least able to inform some things and use those kinds of things that we had to create our discussion.
It's honestly been a variety pack of talking about different creators, really.
It's also it's now become that.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean Juce and Roll Stats and Jacob. Yeah, the Gavel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jim Davis.
Well, you know what? I'll title it as the actual title of Creators with Juce from Master of the Game. Like RPG content creators. We'll go with that.
We get Juce to say horrendous, unfathomable things about everyone.
Yep, that'll be in the description, obviously.
Do it. Juce talks so much shit.
No. But yeah.
The juice is spoiled. They'll be like, what? What's that mean?
Yeah, right. No, I won't. That's the thing. I don't do that.
Juice has turned to vinegar.
We quit. So I understand the need to do that kind of stuff for the algorithm, but I fucking fight the algorithm every day. I don't care. Like, whatever, dude. We've already
fight the algorithm.
We'll continue.
Oh god, I just saw your tweet, Juice.
Which one?
Hey guy, your video about cheating fudging rolls, you say cut off their hands. I just want to say it's great. Thanks to @TableTalk D&D for pointing his video.
Hell yeah.
That as a soundbite.
I can't wait for the reply.
I'm just gonna do that.
If we get one.
I'm gonna do a retweet there. There we go.
Yep. Like and retweet.
Yep.
Nice. I see it now.
Anyway.
Maybe if all of you retweet it, you'll be like, wow.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah,
Wow,
no,
there's like
on the
4
show,
people.
Come on the show, tear us to bits.
please,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, no, it's like this is definitely you've seen, all of you listening, all of you watching, hello. In the future here when we post this. Oh, by the that'll be at the end. But like I you now see that we have a plethora to talk about and to, hopefully. Like we have no qualms with tearing into content regardless of who. It's like legitimately,
and it's not hard to get it out of Juice.
it's just it's just one of those things where it's like I don't know, we might disagree on some things, we might agree on some things, but ultimately I feel like we're still cool.
Are we?
I hope so.
I don't know. You just said I'd name my videos terrible. Never come on this
So, no, I said I disagree with the way that you named one, but
My whole channel is dedicated to clickbait titles.
Hashtag cancel Juice.
Yep, that's what happened. I definitely advocated for that.
Damn,
You all were here. You all heard it.
Yep,
Okay,
everyone knows.
So then I think, since we talked about one thing that you disagree with Juice on, I think that we should rename the video Juicing Juice.
Oh, that's a good title, though.
Pressing Juice.
That's also good.
That's another one.
Pressing is
Squeezing,
good because
yes.
it makes me think of Ace Attorney and like pressing a witness on the stand. It's good. Oh shit.
And that kind of goes with the whole thing. Gavel.
Kind of, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if I want to use it now. Shit. But yeah, it's.
Oh, we could take a capture of like Juice's head and like cut it in half like you would cut a lemon, and then have like a little lemon juicer beneath it.
Oh my god.
No. No. See, now you're
only
asking
only
for
if I can
creativity.
use that image shirt.
For shade.
Of course.
Yeah,
It's your
no.
likeness.
I would wear
it is.
Like, why do you have a picture of your own head on your shirt? Because
Don't worry about it.
do you want one? I can give you one.
Yeah, right. Like,
I've got a bunch in my trunk, just like here. Take one.
They're free.
Where'd you get
promo
that
shirts.
shirt? They go back home and it's like, where did you get that shirt? A guy in the mall parking lot.
Giving them out for free with his own face.
Yeah.
yeah, you know, whatever. Yeah. Let's see. I think that's good. I think we're good. Yeah.
That's three and
and
45
a half or
minutes.
so.
We don't have more people to thrash.
Oh, we have plenty, probably.
Oh, the internet is a very big ocean.
Yeah.
Filled with a lot of stupid
And we are
fish.
the lighthouse that guides people into the rocks. No, but
Yeah, we're a lighthouse 3 miles back from shore.
No, I just think that we've got a good one here. We got a good one here, boys. I think we're good. Yeah, and
I'm on next week, right?
If you want.
I mean, do you want? No, but
I mean, I would happily come on again.
you are, yeah, absolutely. You are more than welcome to come on another time. Absolutely.
Especially
Become the
if
fourth
you find,
host.
here's the thing. If you want to get on like 100%, find a crazy tweet and then don't tell us what it is so that we can't look it up ourselves. And then be like, hey, I got a tweet for you guys to talk about. I want to come on, but you can't see it until I'm on.
Absolutely. That or a video if you find one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hold the trash hostage.
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
We being the raccoons that we are will be tempted into the cage.
I am the trash panda. Yes. I will go for it. Even if it's just one that you think is just like slightly, like there's a couple points in there that you might want to like talk about or something. Anything really, like that kind of stuff is definitely welcome for you to suggest. Absolutely. And like, yeah, definitely have you back on. Absolutely.
Sounds good. I probably won't find one. I'll be honest. I'm not on.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll find something probably. But yeah. So why don't you promote your stuff? Give you that spotlight there.
Yeah. No problem. I am Juce, master.
You're very small and quiet. I can barely hear you.
Yeah. You keep breaking out.
I'm sorry. This is Pillow Talk.
Oh.
I am Juce from Master the Game, and I am a Pathfinder stan who makes nothing but Pathfinder clickbait videos. And
As has been established.
Subscribe to my channel on YouTube at youtube.com/Master the Game RPG. Or if you really want, you can go to rpgjuice.com and check out my outdated website.
There you go. Hey.
By the way, I'm not a stan. I'm a play and book stan.
Oh,
yeah.
There you go.
You're a Pathfinder simp.
Yeah. All the links will be in the description, definitely. So definitely go and check out his channel. Have a good time. He's a chill dude. We were on his little show there, and it was really fun. It was super fun.
This was way more fun. Don't even lie.
Honestly,
fun.
If you had way more fun, then I'm happy. Okay, yeah. I had fun in both instances, and I don't know which one was more fun.
It's just a great thing that I wasn't. Because who knows how often.
The way I see it is, like, the first time we met, we were still getting used to each other. Second time is more fun because now we're more used to each other, which means the third time we could be on your channel and it would be even more fun.
And
then the
fourth time, you'd be on.
I think we should go. I think we should arrange our next thing on someone else's channel.
Oh, okay. So all four of us.
Yeah.
All four of us on Brogan's channel. Yeah. There you go.
Probably get his YouTube channel torn down.
Well, he is associated with us already. He's been on us twice as two different people, technically. So
he's making Pathfinder videos, and I'm a Pathfinder video creator. I need to get rid of the competition.
Right? Yeah. There you go.
Yes.
I would never do such a thing.
When he fails, we can absorb him into our podcast.
Exactly.
Yes.
There you go.
We will grow stronger.
Soon we will have 17 hosts all talking at once.
Soon even Matt Mercer will bow to our power.
We will absorb Critical Role. They will see that we are superior.
Off with their hands! Laura Bailey believes in lucky dice. Off with their hands!
Get more subscribers. Huge. You just transfer them over to here.
Yeah.
That seems like a plan.
See, it benefits everybody.
Yeah.
But yes,
pooling resources, because that's all that viewers are, is resources.
Of course, right? Absolutely.
If we all combined our powers, better off. That is bad English. You know what I'm saying.
Speaking of speaking of viewers being resources, Alejo, would you be so kind as to mention our Patreon?
Yeah. Oh wow! I hate the bit now.
You can find it by searching on Patreon. Master the Game.
You can.
That's the bit now.
Right. So
no more Raid Shadow Legends.
Now that we're closing up here, let me tell you all about everything that we have. As usual, we have our website that is tabletalkdnd.us, where you can find all the information that I'm about to give to you already. We have our podcast here that goes up on Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and again on Mondays on podcasting services at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays, if I didn't say that already. And our Devils and Dice, which goes up on our YouTube channel on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Unfortunately, we did not post a session technically this week. When you see it, it will have been.
We didn't play the session.
We didn't play the session, so we weren't able to post it. So apologies for that. We'll get back on that shortly. But
I should hope so.
Other than that, yes, we have a Patreon. It is patreon.com/TableTalkDND. It is on the screen, as well as our Discord. Please join our Discord. We love to talk with everyone that joins it. We try to interact as much as possible. When
Come
we're not.
Talk about Cthulhu and Warhammer with us.
Yeah,
I posted a comment and nobody answered, and it made me want to shoot myself.
I saw that you added me. And I didn't read the rest of the comment.
Oh, wow.
So you can be a lovely part of. You can be a lovely part of looking at what we post on our Discord and never replying as well. Please do; it's fun. But yes, we have that, and our Twitter and Instagram at TableTalkD&D. On both of those, you can follow us there. Look at what we do. I've yet to post something on our Instagram for the past month, probably. So, but yeah. Other than that, we also have our email. TableTalkDND@gmail.com. You can send us an angry email or something that's maybe pleasant. Who knows? Please continue to listen, watch, subscribe, also like, and all of that good stuff with the commenting and all of that. Very much appreciate it. It's been great seeing all the interaction. Definitely want more, so give us more. We desire it. Other than that, I think that's everything. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so, yeah.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye now.
Get out of here.
Bye.
We're done.
Juice, why aren't you saying bye? Bye now.
Bye.
Yeah.
There we go. Yay.